Alrighty, we're back again on a Thursday to continue a little bit more Raging Loop. Was away for 2 days, but now that I'm back, we're good to go and keep going on because we had a lot happen the last stream of Raging Loop. We ended up finding out who one of the werewolves are, but died in that timeline. Went back, had to choose a different thing. Died again. Went back and chose all the correct paths, so now we know, and we're trying to get it where we end, where we get rid of all the wolves in one go. But there seems to be issues in getting that because somebody poisoned our main character, and unlike in one of the routes where we instantly died, this time we survived because two of the people who were around who died the last time were the ones who saved us. So now we're sitting here trying to figure out what's going on, and Kemi is oddly super into me suddenly, which we've barely interacted with her this loop at all. This was more of the Rikako Horny arc instead of everything else, but I have no idea. But maybe I guess it does work if this is the one where you're supposed to find out the background of Rikako's family, and that the basically the reason why their family was in a high position is because they did sex work. So maybe that's why this was like the Horny arc, where you find out this information. Because I still don't know where the true ending is. Because I don't think this is going to be the true ending. Because there's still a choice we can make very, very early on in this loop that the game has not let us make yet. There's also a choice very early on in the original loop where Kemi asks why we're here. And we don't really have much of that either. Of being able to just tell her everything. So I'm not sure. Honestly. But as everything goes, we're going to continue to see where this part of this loop ends, or where we run out, whatever keys we unlock. So, we're going to pick up right here. With some more Raging Loop. Alright, so this is us waking up on the next day, which, in a different timeline, when we found out Mochi was a wolf and got him killed, we didn't survive the night, even though the same people who are supposedly the spider to keep us protected didn't protect us, but we don't know why, even though the person who was supposed to protect us was Rikako telling Miko to protect us, so I have no idea why we're not protected. So I don't know why we died in that particular one. The game just didn't want us to keep proceeding down that one because that line we would have gotten rid of Mochi, and then we only would have had one person left. And if it just said, "Oh well, we don't actually know yet," and left it up to like a 3-person guess without us actually having the key, then it could have been RNG'd if you get it correct or not. Which you could have gotten it correct twice in a row and nailed all the wolves and done, but the game killed us for some reason. I still don't, like I said, once again, don't exactly know why. Because in this arc, Rikako's also alive and was supposed to vote for us, and we survived. So, what would have caused her to not do it last time? Just because of Mochi? Unless Rikako's a wolf working with Mochi, and that's why in the last one she couldn't. I have no fucking clue. That doesn't seem to be how it's going, so no idea. We're just going to figure from here. Anyway. Nothing. I woke up and came across to me. Nothing I woke up to came to me as a surprise. I hadn't died. I knew it'd be that way. Because there was because if I did die, then suddenly I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning and make one other small change and then hopefully come back here again and not die. All that remained was figuring out how to end things. I merely had to find a compromise between what was happening and what I felt. No. There were 2 more things to consider. The wolves would go out of control before the feast even began, and I didn't know who I had to mourn today. It was 5 in the morning and everything was still covered in mist. I could see things better than at night, but not by a whole lot. Oh yeah, that was another thought that I had. The reason why we might have died in that loop where we got rid of Mochi was because someone else killed us, not a wolf. but they would have had to have gone out risking the corruption and done it if we weren't protected that time, which is kind of hard to do, but who knows. Was Kanzo-san patrolling again? Or maybe they got to us early in the morning and killed us, and that's why we never awoke. But anyway, he was no longer like he had been yesterday morning, so I would hope that he was, but he no longer had a gun. The fact that he, a confirmed human, was patrolling like that was actually pretty good for us. I carefully took a step forward. The wolves were liable to appear from the mist at any moment, so I snuck around just in case. However, this was a world of mist and ominous silence. As I walked, the grass swayed and the crunching of the gravel felt loud enough to be heard by the entire village. In fact, even the sound of my heartbeat was deafening. To hell with this. I had to put myself together. If they were coming, I surely would have heard them. Too. I just had to stand still to know if I was in danger. I didn't hear anything. There was no one. Or perhaps everyone was hiding. As I began suspecting that a murder was about to pop out of the nearby bushes, I stopped running. I went to the side of the road and hid myself. I carefully thought about the situation. If you looked at the feast as a game, the judges were mostly uninvolved in its progression, leaving it to the players. They only dispensed supernatural deaths to those who killed more than one, or humans who walked around at night. It was really minimal intervention. On the other hand, though, that didn't mean that they would stick to the rules and keep the number of victims under 2. And so far, the sides that were cornered tried to kill people even if it meant getting the death penalty. It happened every time. In other words, observance of the rules wasn't valued, meaning that having more deaths than allowed was not a problem. Not only were the humans unprotected, but the wolves who saw justice in the real story was entirely capable of disregarding the corruption to commit murder. Looking at it that way, I had no idea what the Game Master, Great Lord Shinai, was trying to accomplish. Did he just want to see bloodshed? In that case, why the runabout method? He was the god of the mountain. The corruption was his law. The Yamabito were the enemy. But it wasn't clear whether the ones sent to Yomi were the humans or wolves. It made so little sense. If the corruption was the power of Yomi, it wasn't even clear. Were they the boundary between the mountain and the Yomi was? In other words, Sumare, it was safe to think about the mountain and the Yomi were the same thing. Shinai was both the mountain and Yomi, a two-faced god who split the Fujiyoshi people worshipping him into 2 opposing factions on a whim. His aim was this very bloodshed. The mist, the village, everything here was like a coliseum to him, a hunting ground, basically. I had to be overthinking things. Like I said, to me it comes off as just punishment. It's punishing everybody who's here in the place, because people have to either hang those they believe to be their friends and weren't wolves, or the wolves have to kill people that were part of their family, or even if you do get the wolves correct, you still have to hang people that you were very close to. So to me, it just comes off as like a mass punishment where they're all, meeting out their, getting forgiveness for their sins or something weird. However, it doesn't, just because you win once doesn't mean you can't participate another time. So having 2 people be around since the last purge as well is also weird. Like, once the people survive once, shouldn't they be absolved and get to leave? However, the fact that the rules weren't strict and the punishment wasn't swift created an opening. There probably was a way to clear the game with minimal casualties. I had to make it through the situation, though. I made a gamble. After taking a deep breath, "Gah!" I screamed at the top of my lungs, then hid. If Kanzo-san or Takumi-san heard it, they were bound to come. If it was a wolf instead, they would make a move, wondering why something serious happened without their knowing. They couldn't catch me off guard if I had hidden and watched from the shadows. 5 minutes passed, yet I heard nothing. What if everyone was already dead? That was impossible. Maybe they knew what I was thinking and were now planning to ambush me? I was just guessing, but you never knew what could happen in the mist. My next option was to sneak around and look around the whole village. I would move swiftly and in short bursts and make noise for sure, but it would also make it harder for any potential lurkers to find me. The Okibo were large and had decent amounts of space between them, making them good hiding places. I ran and hid. Then I held my breath. Nothing was happening. Not thinking much about it, I repeated the process. I ran and hid, then stayed quiet. I ran and hid. Huh? Rah! Yoshigizu popped out of the stone I was aiming for and charged at me. I jumped to the side. A woodcutting axe. Yeah, okay, it wasn't. A woodcutting axe slashed the place I was just standing in. Fuck! Wait, it's me! Come down! You fuck! He then angrily threw the axe away in a random direction and screamed, "Fuck, fuck, fuck!" No point in sneaking around anymore. But this made me understand something. Why the hell did he throw away an axe? If he had it in the first place. His rage could only mean one thing. Was the one who died last night. Fuck, fuck! After waiting for him to calm down a bit, we began walking together, no longer trying to hide at all. If he'd made so much noise and survived regardless, it was safe to assume that there would be no ambushes. And even if there was, it'd be 2v2. We would be on equal footing. As expected, we made it to the plaza without anything happening. Yoshigitsu-kun hadn't said a word the whole way. He was just breathing heavily, like when he attacked me, and his eyes were so wide that his agitation seemed to become madness. I'll look. Not waiting for an answer, I went to the dining hall. It was instantly assaulted by a strange reek. We would never eat here again. As I became certain of that fact, my heart sank, which was pretty out of character for me. I took a step forward. The cupboard's glass was completely destroyed, and there were porcelain pieces all over the place. They must have been caused by Yoshigitsu-kun's rampage. Her bed was upstairs. I went up carefully just in case, but I didn't feel like there was anyone alive inside. The supports and walls were slightly damaged in places. Yoshigitsu-kun had taken it really that hard, huh? Even the phone, the only one in the village, was completely broken on the floor. Uh-oh. After seeing it, I went further in, to her room. It was the same. The philosophy behind the murder was the same as Haru-chan's. The bloody footprints were standard at this point. There was no doubt that this was done by wolves. What was different was that it wasn't a clobbering, but a slashing. Kaori Oribe's remains were cut up and drowning in a sea of blood. She hadn't been torn apart or split up randomly. It was best to say that she'd been cut into rings. Her body was lying on its back, covered to neck to toe in horizontal slashes. They did make it to the bone, but didn't break through them. Her entire front was cut open like a fish fillet. I couldn't tell whether she died from blood loss or suffocation due to the multiple neck injuries, but whichever it was, she suffered an awful end. And yet again, for some reason, her face was left completely untouched. She certainly vomited lots of blood, and her expression was downright demonic. Had she been conscious while it was happening? Were the faces of the detestable wolves burned into her now dead eyes? I'd seen how intense this woman could be, and at this point, a part of me felt like it was the real her. However, no matter how demonic, she was definitely a loving mother. To both her two sons, as well as Yasumizu as a whole. Looking at her reminded me of the Buddhist goddess demon Harati, or Kishimonojin, no matter how irrelevant that was. And oh boy, was it irrelevant. In Shinai-sama's court, gods from the outside had absolutely no power. Suddenly, I realized that her arms were completely unharmed. I also noticed that some of the wounds seemed to be facing downward. The back of the hand was facing upward, while the palm was facing down despite the wounds being on the palm. Why? Upon further observation, I noticed something strange about her undamaged hand. Her fingers were in a peculiar position. Because it's perfect timing, and it's just a red backsplash, so obviously everything's fine. Just keep eating, just keep eating. Her right hand squeezed its pinky and ring finger. Meanwhile, her left was grasping all the fingers except the thumb. Had she been conscious while she got those wounds? Had she bent her arms and pushed her fingers on the floor into this position? Was it a shape created by her painful, absurd end? Or perhaps some sort of message? Yoshigitsu-kun had caught up with me, with Yasunaka-kun in tow. That's it? What are you getting at? You think you understand how I feel? You want me to wail or something? Well, I'm grieving too. This is pure despair. But I need to think so I can avenge her. Mom! Bob always told me to think a lot, study a lot, become a hallmark of excellence so that Dad could rest in peace. But I'm jealous of you. You don't have to deal with that. You lived however you wanted and just got all of Bob's attention. In the end, I've been clinging to something so childish my whole life. I always wasted time on such useless thoughts. But I still thought that all these walls between us would be gone when you grew up and Bob became reasonable. But that's impossible now. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel empty. Anarchy. Anarchy, please don't say stuff like that. Mommy's gone. She always say something if we were being troublesome, but she's no longer here. Why are you being troublesome at a time like this? I will avenge her. I will find out what these figures mean, understand it, and chase down who did it. That will be the end of my involvement with her. Mommy loved you! You know, you always piss me off too. When we talked, she'd always talk about you. She'd do it with others too. Hell, she'd even talk about you when she's by herself. You lived in the dorms, you wouldn't know this, but recently she offered to talk to Dad's photo and always about you. You're lying. Not this. She loved you more than me. Of course she did. You're better than me. That's why she pushed the shit on me. Fuck! Suddenly, he pushed me aside, went forward, and reached for her body. Hey, what are you doing? Mommy, I'm so sorry. All choked up, he screamed and opened his dead mother's mouth. Shit, it ain't here. Yoji stop. Did she swallow something? Yasunaga-kun's eyes widened at my question, while Yoshigitsu reached for the wound on her neck. Mommy! Found it! What he took out was something small and covered in blood. He leaned in with his fingers, exposing something transparent. Apparently, it was something covered in food wrapping. Anarchy, open it! She told me to dig through her body as she died, and give what I found to you. She really did love you more than me. Wake the fuck up! Fusashi-san, sorry, but could you open it for me? My hands are shaking. I felt apoplectic. Or apologetic? Whatever word that was. Anyway, I probably wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place, so I would at least do this much. The wrap had a rolled piece of paper inside. When I unrolled it, I realized just how small it was. There was tiny, but legible writing on it. The wrap protected any damage caused by blood or saliva, so I could read it clearly. 1. Rikako Uematsu. 2. Kemi Sarazawa. 3. Chikamochi Kamashita. 4. Miko. 5. Other. So, is this her thinking who she thinks the wolves are? Chikamochi, Kemi, and Rikaku? Because in the one ending where we killed Rikako, we died from the poisoning. But that was because her and the doctor weren't there. But in the other one, because everybody just assumed that the one reporter lady was a wolf. But my feeling was that she was the badger, and that's why they set her up and then had her killed separately as a diversion, because she didn't matter when she pulled, trying to find out who the spider was, or who the snake was. So Rikaku also seemed to be, to me, a wolf, because she literally said, I'll help you escape to help you survive, like she knew we were going to die. And in the one timeline when we killed Chikamochi, in our guesses, we guessed that Miko is the spider protecting people and that Rikako is pointing her to protect whoever. So in the one ending where we got rid of Chikamochi, that would have knocked the wolves down to 2. And that's what probably, and then Rikako just didn't have Miko protect us while they killed me. Because Rikako and Kemi have been acting very fucking insane. Anyway. Please read this together, you two. I always knew you were concerned about my attitude. I wanted Yasunaga to show what he's capable of somewhere far away from this dreadful place, and I would be too worried if I didn't have Yoshigitsu at my side. I came this far with such thoughtlessness, but it doesn't seem like I will survive this night, so please understand this much. I love both of you more than anything in the world. Please forget everything aside from that and have a fun, brotherly life. Mother. This wasn't something I could read for them. I just spread it out and put on the simple dresser on my side. It says you two should read it together. I'll leave, but before that, let me examine your mother's remains a bit. They didn't say a word, and I took that as a yes. I walked up to the remains. Again, I checked that the wounds on the palms are facing down. The right hand's thumb, index finger, and middle finger were up, and on the left, it was only the thumb. Thumb, index, and middle? Okay. That's actually hard to fucking, like... I would see why you would have to do that with, like, a separate hand and hold those fingers down. Anyway. Because the pointer finger having up the index finger, that's hard to keep that in the middle finger and the thumb up. Like, it's, like, weird way you gotta kind of bend your hand on that one. While on the left, it was only the thumb. I looked into the wound Yoshigetsu-kun had reached into to extend my finger towards it. I opened it up and examined the cut. There was just one large tube. I see. I'm done here. I'll wait with everyone downstairs. Takumi-san was standing at the entrance to the dining hall, along with everyone else. He was armed with a farming tool, while Kanzo-san had a hunting knife. It was obvious that they'd walked around all of Yasumizu and woke everyone up. Thus, they understood the situation. The Oribe brothers and I missed them because we left our houses earlier than they came to us. They'd probably woken up early because they were worried about their mother. Takumi-san wasn't saying a word. He just cast his eyes down and tightly pursed his lips. He vehemently ignored his urge to run to Kaori-san. As a man who couldn't, or was too late to, become their father, he thought he had no right to step into the family matters. It was a tragedy, from start to finish. Good morning, everyone. This might be a bad time for this, but I now understand everything. Once they're back, I propose we start the final feast. It took a whole hour. I didn't hear any loud noises from upstairs this entire time. That was why, when they came downstairs with red eyes, we all understood that they'd been quietly crying. Everyone silently agreed with my proposal, and we all went to the hall. We all had our sake, and the eldest among us spoke. We're starting a feast. Nasunaga-kun instantly raised his hand. May I, Fusashi-san? I don't mind. Then, I declare that Rikako Yuibatsu and Chikabochi Kabashida are wolves. Huh? Wait, didn't you believe Yuimatsu? Saving the snake, Fusashi-san, from death made her trustworthy, but not completely. In fact, by getting Fusashi-san on her side, she probably avoided becoming the target of his ability last night. That'd have been her intention. Well, it's true that I investigated Yoshigetsu-kun last night. You suspected me? Yeah, see, that was a choice they wouldn't let me choose. The game only said you could only investigate him. What was the result? He's a human. I knew it. That means the only ones whose identities we don't know are Rikako Uematsu, Miko, Chine, and Mochi. However, my now late mother, Kawi Oribe, did the final filtering for us. He reached into his pocket and took out the letter from before, Kaori-san's final words. Everyone came closer and read it. Some began to choke up and cry, but everyone knew that what mattered right now wasn't the message she left to the brothers. 1. Rikaku Uematsu. 2. Kemi Sarazawa. 3. Chikamochi Kamashida. 4. Miko. 5. Other. What does this part mean? It's a list of people Bob found most suspicious, written in her handwriting. It includes those who weren't confirmed to be human by the snake or anything else. Chiedi, Mochi, Uematsu-san, Miko, Mom included herself, obviously. And Yoshigetsu isn't here because she simply trusted him. She also left an other point just in case Fusashi-san or someone else turned out to be the wolves. Though, even if it was other, it would be a hint that Fusashi-san was lying, which would be invaluable to us. To use this to leave us a message. Wait. This is just a list of names. How do you turn this into a hint? The number of figures Bob was holding up. Most of you didn't see it, but her figures were strange positions. Fusashi-san, Yoshigetsu, you remember how they were, right? The right was clenching the pinky and the ring finger. while the left was clenching all besides the thumb. She held up 3 on her right hand and 1 on her left, didn't she? Yeah, that's right.
The number of fingers are pointing to the wolves?
Yes. When the wolves cub, you wouldn't have time to leave a message like this. That's why she wrote it down and swallowed it. Paper isn't tasty. Be silent, Miko. Oni-chan, you're scary.
She had to go that far?
Now you must remember Haru-chan's death. Just like Bob, she was brutally killed in her futon. There was no sound of resistance from her. Bob's surroundings were a mess, but that was because I went ape shit. Yes, that means they both died while for some reason being unable to resist, or had their remains damaged after they were killed. That means that while you're dying, you aren't in a state to do anything, and the wolves are watching too. It's hard to imagine that you could leave any dying message in that situation, but Bob found a loophole. I see. It's hard to think you could write a message using your own blood or something. The wolves would see it and just erase it. Exactly. You can't leave any major info. However, if you write the actual information somewhere else to provide the bare minimum needed to find it, that would be more than enough. Bob's way of using her figures, and the wolves didn't notice. I didn't think it was possible to go around the feast rules like this. I must admit, I was too hard-headed while I refused to try anything impossible. Bob didn't. She went as far as to swallow this, so I can only imagine how dedicated she was to leave this message. That is all. Uematsu, so you killed her, huh?
So we should have hanged her yesterday?
No, that is not true. That's pretty sloppy, Yasun. Is that really enough to conclude that Richan and I are the culprits? Exactly. I know full well that I am no wolf, in which case, I can only say that Oribe-sama's fingers have to be some sort of mistake. What if you're supposed to read it differently? What if she counted the bent fingers?
That'd mean it's Kemi and Miko, the complete opposite.
Miko is not a wolf, and neither am I. If Yoshigetsu Oribe-sama is a human, then it must be Serizawa-sama and Kamoshida-sama. Oribe-sama's fingers must be some sort of mistake. What are you saying? It's not me! Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Honestly, I think we should look into the possibility that Hassan's a wolf.
They looked at me with suspicious eyes. Apparently, even almost dying from poison was enough to earn their unconditional trust.
We haven't settled it yet, Yasu.
But I have no doubts that the wolves are Rikaku Yobatsu and Chikamochi Kamoshida. Do you have anything to support the trustworthiness of the message? I did want to say it, but when the poisoner used aconite, I thought of you.
Oh, I see.
Because he's an Asano?
Well, it's true that we learn how to handle poisonous plants. Aruki-san, do you remember if you ate something leaf-like when you were poisoned? I've been on guard, so of course I remember. There were some large-ish onion and cabbage pieces, but I didn't see anything strange. Exactly. We all checked your bowl afterwards, and it didn't look like there was any aconite used. That must be the poison was in fluid form, extracted from the plant itself. The only ones here capable of doing that are Kiyonosuke the Satoshi-san and him, the heir ex-apparent of the family who knows a lot about herbs, poisonous or otherwise. That reminded me of last time. Kaori-san put just the cut leaves, and Kiyonosuke-san instantly noticed.
Really? Don't we all know that aconite looks like? Anyone can think of extracting the poison, right?
Why don't you just say that it's not you?
But it isn't. I mean, look at my arms. There's no way I can cut up a corpse.
How do you know that Bob's body was cut up?
Everything seemed to grind to a halt.
Now Sunaga Oribe glared at his ex-friend with both anger and a bit of grief. Chikamochi Kamoshida looked back at him with a poker face.
So Kaori-san's message is true?
Yes.
Kamoshida-sama, that cannot be true.
Alright, hold it. I got some looks that could kill, but I had to do it. Everything depended on it. I believe Yasunaga-kun is on the right path, and that Kaori-san's work is invaluable for us. However, I believe there are some things you failed to consider. What is it? I'm all ears. Ignoring his somewhat antagonistic tone, you mentioned Kaori-san's body. All of it was covered in cuts, except for the face and hands. First of all, why did they ignore those places? Consider Haru-chan. Her face was intact, but her hands certainly weren't. I felt bad about making them remember things they didn't want to, but I had no choice. I think I can understand leaving the face. Considering how brutal the murder is, the face being untouched just makes it more cruel. But what about the hands? Fingers are easier to cut than any part of the body. Why did they leave them? Wouldn't you say it seems artificial? Like whoever did it wanted to leave a dying message?
Artificial.
Yes. To cut to the chase, the wolves left them like that to trick us. Hold the fuck on! The paper had Mom's writing! Oh, and it must be. I don't doubt that. Kaori-san likely swallowed it for the plan you mentioned. And Yoshigitsu-kun was told to take it out of the case in case something happened, right? Yeah, I was. I think that's flawed, since all secrets are likely to be leaked out into the open, but I'm not going to talk about the possibilities. The problem is that the way she was killed didn't let her leave this message.
You think she couldn't have resisted because she couldn't move a finger?
I'm not sure about that. Maybe yes, maybe no. Instead of speculating, I will just ask Nasato-san. Me? Yes. Can you clench your hand with deep cuts all over your arms? That is impossible. The muscles that move the joints and the fingers are connected to the arm, not the palm. What? If she put her fingers into those positions before she was cut, her hand should have opened and then the muscles were damaged. On the other hand, if she wanted to do it after the cuts, she couldn't grasp her fingers anymore. But that, I see. So that's where the wounds are facing down.
They were?
Yes, the wounds of the arms alone were facing the floor instead of up. She couldn't clench her fingers, so she moved her arms against the floor to force the fingers to that position, and
Do you really think she could?
her arms were destroyed so badly. I highly doubt she could move them. So, this is a matter of likelihood too. So let's assume that there's a 50% chance she could do it. So far, the only unnatural thing is that the fingers were unharmed, grasped, and that the secret talk didn't leak. There's also another strange thing about it. She was injured in her neck, too. It was a deep wound, but it didn't seem to reach the bone. There was one large tube in the cut. Nasato-san, what's the first tube you come across when cutting the throat? The trachea. That means Yoshigitsu-kun took the paper out of the trachea, the tube that passes air when breathing. With something stuck in a place like that, you quickly suffocate. There's no way she could have gotten it in there. That is true. We have the cough reflex. If you swallow something, it's bound to pass the esophagus instead of the trachea and end up in the stomach. Also, just like Haru-chan, she vomited out a lot of blood. The letter must have left her body when she was being murdered, and the wolves must have noticed it. The letter is real, but it was stuffed into her throat afterwards by wolves who didn't know anatomy. Yes, the hands were unharmed because they wanted to pass on a false message. The wounds on the arms were reversed because the numbers of fingers up wouldn't stay that way unless they used the floor to do so. Also, it's likely the wolves heard her talk about swallowing the letter and went out of the way to search for it. Ugh. These wolves are really fixated on destroying the remains. By being thorough about that, they prevented any chance of the humans leaving such messages. At least, that's what I think. They're really meticulous, astute, and cunning. A bit tired of talking, I felt silent for a moment, and no one spoke up in my place. They were all at a loss for words. That's why Kaori-san's fingers were a red herring. We can't base our accusations on that. Kanzo Makashima-san, have the dead left any messages in previous feasts?
The elders all used to say, the dead only tell the Yosamitsu Okami's lies.
Yeah, you had it. I like those words. They were on theme with the story too. You can't trust dying messages. By merely proving that, Kaori-san contributed to us immensely. I understand. I'd agree. With all this new knowledge I didn't have, it does seem very suspicious. Then who were the wolves? What does Bochi slip of the tongue mean? We already have the answer. Rikaku-san, what did you say before we talked about this? If Yoshigitsu Oribe-sama is a human, then I and Miko are human as well. That leaves just Chikamochi Kamoshida-sama and Kemi Sarazawa. Her words were slow, and so was everyone else's reaction. Slowly, they turned to Kemi, who'd almost never faced suspicion this whole feast. No way. I mean, what? Well, I don't want to believe that too. There's nothing that says this isn't Rikaku-san, right? Then I would have let her do the talking. Rikaku-san, you aren't the spider, are you? Correct. I knew it. Naturally, the impact of that revelation was great. You could tell by just looking at everyone's shocked faces. Who is the real spider? Miko. Are you sure, Oni-chan? Yes, I trust Haruki-sama. Yeah, I'm the spider. I had Oni-chan's thing on my tummy.
She pointed at Rikaku-san's brooch.
What? Why? Did you see her guardian mark?
Of course not. That is a taboo act. That would render me deserving of the corruption, however. As a woman servant, it is my role to watch over the darkness in Fujiyoshi. So, in the case that the mist came and this girl became involved, I taught her a few things. Since she could not read yet, so I could help her. I remember the symbols.
What are you drawing?
Those are guardians.
Guardians?
She said if I'm the spider, my leg starts to hurt. Oni-chan, I rolled in my futon and hit my leg. It hurts. A bit later, I will make it better with some magic words. And if you were the snake, my eyes would hurt. And the crow, my tummy would hurt. And the wolf, my head would hurt.
Miko was talking way more than usual. She probably wanted to talk a lot during the feast, but we never gave her a chance to.
And the monkey? Then I don't have to say it? That is because I cannot claim to be her when she is the monkey.
I see. But how did Miko write down the names of the people she'd protect as the spider?
I wrote them down myself, and then gave it to her. We're changing her clothes.
Does it have to be the one with the guardians themselves to write it?
I was not sure, so I had her copy my writing. I learned lots of hiragana.
This might be an actual loophole in the feast rules. Secret talks during the day are never actually secret. If you somehow encrypt the information ahead of time,
though the wolves who got it could decipher it, they probably wouldn't even recognize it as info. And no one would think that such a little girl was bending the rules.
Then you looked at it as a game. It was clearly unfair. However, when our lives are on the line, we couldn't really care about that. Anyway, though Rikaku-san wasn't the spider, she was like her representative, and used this position to protect Kanzo-san once more.
You seemed the most important one of us back then, but I could not predict they would attack Haru Makashima-sama next.
It's fine. A spider that protects one is a good spider.
I thought it was weird. The spider normally has no reason to out themselves. It was strange that we had two.
That's not true, but with the old wolf guy behind the other candidate, I really couldn't understand why it had happened. Still, there was no point in thinking about that in this loop. I suspected this on the first day, when she insisted I vote for her instead of Miko. She was probably thinking of becoming Miko's shield, coming out as a fake spider and letting the real one live on. Also, if you told Miko to tell you if she was a wolf...
Yes, I intended to kill her and suffer the corruption.
And since I knew the truth, I was able to reduce the suspects to just 3. And all that was left was to confirm which one of them was human. That would mean that the other 2 were wolves. The process of elimination. So you picked a wolf and still wouldn't know the last one?
Well, I see. So you picked the least suspicious one of the 3, Yoshigitsu.
More or less.
So you didn't suspect me?
Now, after hearing all that, can you still say that this is just a well-crafted fabrication? And you, the 2 we have left to thanks to the process of elimination. Do you have any excuses that would work to prove you aren't the wolves?
If I am, why was I a wolf in Mommy Kaori's false info?
Yes, it makes no sense. Why did the wolves have to mix the true information with the fake?
Because he is the decoy. How do you believe I was poisoned?
Yes, that still isn't clear. That's why Lady Orabe was suspected. She was the only one who could target you. Wait.
Yes, she's the only possible option. If you're aiming specifically for me anyway.
I see. So that's how it is. It didn't matter who died.
Exactly. I wasn't the target at all. They didn't care about who died. Whoa, hold on. What do you mean? They targeted you because you're the snake, right? That's the very source of the misunderstanding. It just so happened that the poison bowl went to me. He probably found the chance to get poison in a bowl and took it. Maybe if I was just a drop of the top bowl, he had more than enough opportunities to do something that simple. And when it was time to eat, the wolves just avoided their bowls and chatted while watching if someone was happened to the others. They'd only eat after they saw who got the poison. After the chaos that followed, it was impossible to tell if someone was avoiding the food. If no one ended up getting poisoned, it would mean that one of their bowls had the poison, so they'd say they weren't feeling hungry and excuse themselves. Anyway, doing that would reduce the humans by 1. Makashima-sama, Takumi-san, and Yasunaga-kun have a lot of influence here. Misato-san's position here is complicated. Rikaku-san is the self-proclaimed spider, while I am the snake. You can say that most of the humans are worth killing for them, and that the poison killed someone. The only suspect would have been the cook, and the only one who could target someone, Kaori-san, the self-proclaimed crow. Then, you almost died. Because of a simple coincidence. But since I just revealed that I was a snake, it was extremely effective. If I died because of this, the wolves wouldn't have killed Kaori-san, and she would have been hanged today. I took a few breaths. Everyone was silent, probably because they were reflecting on the way they suspected her yesterday. And the reason why they would have left Mochi's name in the fake info is because if he did successfully poison one of us, he would have died from the corruption. Although, I guess when he didn't show up, people probably would have guessed. I think people probably would have guessed why he died. Oh, he must have wanted to do the murder. He was a wolf, but that's why they were, risking having him die again anyway. That's why they're like, oh, we'll keep him in the fake info. If they do nail him, who cares? We expected him to die anyway, or he's willing to die for the wolf's cause. Maybe just to let Kemi leave the town again. But not only did I survive, Yurimatsu-san's strange powers that saved me helped her gain some level of trust. That being the case, they assumed that she would use her spider powers to protect me, meaning they couldn't kill me that night either. They probably did consider killing her, but as she proves time and time again, her position here in Fujiyoshi is extremely poor. It was enough for her to be hanged if measured against Kemi-chan. They could kill her in the daytime, so they decided to kill Kaori-san instead. Whether that was a good second option aside, I don't think it's unlikely for these two to think that way. Now, back to the matter at hand. Killing 2 people in one day makes you a target of the corruption. That means that Chikamochi Kamoshida poisoned the bowl knowing what would happen. He probably did it even knowing that he, as a disowned Nasato child, would be the prime suspect. Typically, it's hard for all the wolves to survive. If they actively faked having guardians, they would have certainly ended up hanged. However, thanks to some form of unity between them, they could choose scapegoats from among them to serve the role as the faker or the rule breaker. That's Chikamochi Kamoshida's role. That's why he was probably ready to die because of Kaori-san's final message. However, if Rikaku-san was hanged today, they could kill me today, make a mess of things, and maybe even survive. That's what they were being betting on, I assume. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work. He looks down with a half smile, gathering everyone's attention.
That seems really one-sided. I mean, we have no proof that Hassan and Richan are what they claim to be.
He brought up something we'd been over already. And since that was all they had left,
and maybe you can actually read Mami Kaori's fingers some other way.
Mochi, that's enough. It's getting cringeworthy.
Then,
yeah.
Let's kill them all!
They both have double-barrel shotguns out of fucking nowhere. Did no one not notice they were fucking packing sawed-off shotguns? I mean, sure, they might have been concealable, and he's wearing a school uniform, and she's got like a sweatshirt on. But like, come on. Did no one not notice they were packing extra bulges? Let's kill them all. Fucking Pirates of the Caribbean up in here.
Everyone here had a certain hope. They believed that, if exposed, the wolves would admit it and give themselves in. It wouldn't be too late for them to keep struggling after all. Certainly they wouldn't attack the humans head on. Certainly their ex-neighbors wouldn't be that malicious and murderous. I couldn't blame them for their optimism. I was the only one who knew how badly Yasunaga Oribe changed last time, so I should have been the one to take care. However, even I could be taken off guard. I knew that the current wolves were wicked, but I thought it was because of Chikamochi Kamoshida, the boy with unusual tendencies with devilish intuition. I knew that she could use a gun, but I didn't expect her to whip it out right in front of us. She was the girl who told me to leave her and run, despite the invisible god terrorizing her. The girl who opened herself up to me despite knowing it wasn't meant to be. I never would have thought she'd bring a gun to this place and try to take everyone with her. The turn was so unexpected that the smart ones here were frozen. Those who hadn't suspected her weren't moving either. The ones who did, "Kimmy, stop!" were the one most proactive among us. "You fool!" And the one who didn't trust anyone. When the first shot was fired, the buckshot aimed at the end of the circle was blocked by Takumi-san's body. His large frame absorbed the bullets, bursting apart. Ha ha ha! Past his collapsing body, I saw her face, a beastly smile. A moment later, Chikamochi Kamoshida fired his own gun. Kanzashi was charging toward him with a clenched fist, and the shot blew off his face. Next! Beyond the bloody mist that left behind, I saw the eyes of a bird of prey. Run! The next person Kemi aimed at was Yoshikitsu-kun, who was trying to charge at her. I gotta take a drink. That was when Kanzo-san, on the verge of death, landed a punch on Chikamochi, as I absent-mindedly watch. Kyo, Fusashi, it's up to you. I felt like I heard that voice, which snapped me out of my torpor. Kinosuke was the same in that regard. Our eyes met, and then I hurried to take Rikaku-san and Miko's hands, while he grabbed Yasunaga-kun by the shoulders. Without even seeing the result of the third shot, we ran straight for the exit. We were closer to the exit than the either side. We heard another gunshot, but they weren't in a situation to turn around. Rikaku-san dropped to the ground, letting out a cry as she did, and I ended up basically dragging her so we could evade our assailants. Kinosuke saw that. His expression changed, and he, still holding Yasunaga-kun's hand, used his open hand to push my shoulder. I felt like there was a silent understanding between us. Not saying a thing, he hurriedly let go of Yasunaga-kun and took Rikaku-san's hand, while I took Yasunaga-kun's now empty hand. It was an irrational action. However, I probably thought that I had no right to hold her by the hand, a feeling which made it hard for me to run. Kinosuke staunchly grasped her and started running. Following his example, I took Miko under my arm and started running, pulling Yasunaga-kun with me. The young man seemed to be in a stupor. Was it just me, or was the mist even denser than usual? It probably felt that way because I was running, making the lack of visibility way more dangerous. I followed the gravel path and ran up a hill. It's okay, I could rub by myself now. Hearing a clear voice, I let go of his hand. Where should we run? Let us Sato mansion. It's the sturdiest building here. That made sense. The other two were going there. We're going there too, so if we regrouped and held up around there... Aha! Suddenly, I heard a laughter coming from the other side. I almost makes me freeze, but I held myself together and lowered my head. Another gunshot. I could clearly feel the bullets fly past the top of my head. JD, why? Keep running! Ah! Miko cried for the first time ever. I had to keep running while closing her mouth. I expected Yasunaga-kun to be right behind me, but I couldn't hear his footsteps anymore. Please stop. He was probably trying to convince Kemi. I've always liked you, you know. The feeling ain't mutual. The brief exchange and the gunshot that followed seemed strangely clear. I kind of like you, rejected. Please don't make a sound, Miko. Shit. Was this the end of the line of this loop? With Japan being a mostly gun-free society, their power could easily be both overestimated as well as underestimated, making it hard for us to gauge. However, here in a mist where I could barely see anything and I could be a hit at point-blank range by surprise, I was all too aware. Guns were frightening tools that could end a life with a single pull of the trigger. Haruki-san, where are you? I made it to Tei Yamakawa-san's house, hid behind it, and waited. I had to catch my breath and figure out my best route to the Sato mansion. By following this path, I could pass the collapsed construction site and arrive at the mansion. That was the fastest way there, but I wasn't sure it was safe. Come out, I'll help you. Yeah, right. Hearing that cheerful voice, I heard the unlocked door open up. I'd ran as fast as I could, but she caught up easily, probably due to her healthy legs and familiarity with the land. Miko was trying really hard not to scream. I was hoping that she could hold it in. Hearing someone enter, I counted the 5 and snuck out. I didn't sense anyone following me. Going down the hill, I passed the plaza and continued making my way to the Sato mansion, hoping they missed me. Putting Miko on my back, I continued sneaking. This was the second time I'd reached the final stage with her by my side. Was it fate or something? Shaking away that question, I went ahead. I kept moving forward, and quickly found out I was being too naive. Funny. There was a person right before the mansion. You're way funnier now than you were alive, Uncle. There was a mess that looked vaguely human in front of him. He poked at it with something long and thin, probably a shotgun. Anyway,
Guess that just leaves you, doesn't it, Hassan?
I didn't know whether it was because he was a wolf or from the crow family, but hiding behind an Okiba wasn't enough to fool him.
Oh, if you turn around and run, I'm gonna hit Miko-chan on your back and kill her. You don't want that, do you?
Yeah, he was right.
That aside, you can just face me. Old man Kanzo and Uncle did. It's more fun this way.
The snappy attitude he'd given on the latter part of the feast was nowhere to be seen. Faking his behavior to keep up the act was just because he was a wolf must have been stressful for him. Right now, I was close to him, and could tell by his expression that he was extremely refreshed. But man, Kiyonosuke seemed to have struggled. Probably let Rikako-san escape. He had guts in him somewhere, after all.
I don't like shooting people in the back, like I did with Ri-chan. It's in poor taste.
Fuck. Let Miko run away.
That won't fly. I'm an Okame-sama, you know. Can't let that stop Yamabito. Just walk away. Though she could return to Yomi with her own or something.
Was he bound by the curse of the real story? I let Miko go. Go down the cliff until you reach the river. Can you do that? Doing that probably meant the same ending as last time, but it wasn't impossible that she'd make it. Kemi wasn't with us. Maybe the little girl was alone. Whatever the case, it was better than just letting her get shot.
Fuyasaki-san...
It's fine. It's gonna work out. And most importantly, if I died here, all of this would return to nothing, and I'd loop. I'd actually reached the point when I considered that in my calculations. Go.
Bye-bye.
As she started to run,
Yeah, nah, just kidding.
and Chikamochi Kamoshida began aiming at her again, I felt intense anger. I couldn't understand him at all. Was this how they really were? Or was this caused by the real story? My body moved before my messed up brain, which was something I didn't expect. My instinct to protect children must have taken over. I heard the gunshot and felt the lead bullets biting in my body. Gah! Because of the poor visibility and because the buckshot was small, probably meant for birds. Okay, so if they really are using bird buckshot, then Takumi probably wouldn't have been fucking taken down. Like, if they just hit him in the arm, that probably just would have fucked up his arm. That's not gonna kill. Bird buckshot is not gonna kill unless you're, like, point blank in a vital somewhere. You're just gonna get a lot of fucking bullets in your muscles, and hopefully it doesn't hit an artery or something like that. So, like, Konzo getting hit in the face and dying from that, sure, maybe. But even then, that's a lot in your skull. Like, that's not going to be easy to get into a brain. Because bird buckshot, once again, is really kind of pathetic. Especially what gauge they're using. The game doesn't tell you what gauge they're using. But if they're using something small, then it's really not going to do jack shit. The wound wasn't fatal. But Takumi being bigger, if he got hit in the arm or leg, he could easily jump on one of their bodies and take them down too. Still, the pain assaulting my body felt like I was pierced by a dull tip of a sword. I staggered a bit and fell to my knees. It hurt. A lot. I didn't feel Miko behind me. She must have ran away without looking back. No idea if that meant anything. It hurt. Fuck, it hurt a lot.
What was that about? Why would you die for her? You're supposed to play with me, Hassan. Get it? Play with me.
Ignoring my pain, he just said that.
Oh well. If you're not up for it, maybe I could turn you into a funny corpse. That's not what we agreed on, Mochi.
As I heard that voice, I looked up and saw Chikamochi Kamoshida was dead. The wolf that popped out of the mist wielded a blade instead of a gun.
I said I'm gonna take Haruki-san.
It was an extremely sharp kitchen knife. Ah, classic yandere. It was embedded into the hilt into the other wolf's head. The boy quickly collapsed without saying a word. Kemi grabbed his weapon, checked the chambers, and clicked her tongue. I mean, you see, the thing about this, though, is that they're breaking the rules, so they're all just going to die anyway. So the real question is, why would they still do this, knowing that they are going to die anyway? Unless, like, what is their... The game is probably going to explain to me what their reason is, but what would their reason be for making sure everyone in the village died, even though they know they're going to die if they do it this way? Especially since this time they seem very, very, very malicious in doing this. Like, Kemi is going full psycho pretty much. And Mochi's going like serial killer, whatever he's doing in his fucking... puts the lotion on his skin or else gets the fucking hose again. Kind of shit. She then walked to the boy's corpse.
Out of shots. What a waste of bullets. You suck, Mochi.
And removed the knife from his head. The body jerked for a moment, then lay still. She looked at the weapon, wet with gray matter, and threw it away. I wondered what she'd do next, and she took a new weapon out of her sleeve. Just knives up her sleeve. It was like her entire body was a weapon. I began to question just how well I'd actually known her.
Haruki-san, you're all alone now. It's just the two of us. Not like that means much.
She sounded bored, but I could feel the bloodlust and malice behind her words.
Can't say anything anymore, huh?
Why?
You can talk? Good to know.
Why are you doing this?
Can you blame me? There's no other way for us, is there?
I didn't think you were like this. I didn't know if it's the law of the legend or whatever, but I always thought that you'd resist it, no matter how scary it was. Yet you...
Too bad.
She spoke with unbridled malice.
You think it's 'cause Shinae-sama said it? That's just stupid. It's God that's making everything dance like they are. Listen, I just really wanted to kill. Yeah, I even returned back home just because I wanted to kill someone. That's why I'm feeling great right now. Too bad, Romeo. That's how I always was. You have no luck with women, do you?
But that was just...
I thought about what it would be like to kill you from the moment I met you. In a way, this moment is like a dream come true. I'm breaking the rules, so I'll just be a pile of meat tonight. This will be my final bit of fun before that happens. So now,
let's make a bet. All my curiosity about the mystery and fear of the path leading to it, even the pain were all gone. Only pride was left. Give me 10 minutes. I'll use them to run away. Once my time's up, you chase after me. If I get away, I win. If you win, I wanted to set my own rules. I'll die with love for you.
That sounds great.
Even if this was a meaningless, insane deed, dead end, I would go and die on my own way. Albeit staggering, I could still run if I ignored the pain. Blood was flowing out of the wound on my body, but it was probably leaving an all too easy trail behind me. Even so, I ran uphill towards Kamafujiyoshi. I knew that the path was closed off here. The last loop, Haruchan had entered the mountain and gotten stuck. The Misty Mountain was a separate realm, avoided by the people of Yasumizu. Perhaps like when I'd left through Saranaga, I was about to get lost in the mist and die to some monster. Even so, if I brought Kemi here, I could maybe give a chance for Miko to escape, and that was good enough for me. Especially if they don't kill Miko and Miko doesn't escape, then technically they lose. If Miko's just in the town somewhere and Kemi doesn't find her because she thinks she ran away somewhere, then she gets killed by corruption and Miko lives anyway. If she wasn't coming after me, it was unlikely that she'd go after Miko instead. Kemi would be left in the village all by herself to her own insanity. In that case, I figured I had to try running away through here at least once. I'd given up on trying to understand her insanity this time around. Next time? Yeah, I'll think about it next time. I passed the cliff and reached the mountain. The mist was even denser than usual. I looked down and noticed that a lot of road was covered by a landslide. The earth, sand had collapsed. Oh, the earth, sand, and collapsed trees. Okay. And collapsed trees made it pretty much impossible to walk past here. I couldn't tell if it was artificial, nor had I the knowledge to investigate and find out. I just followed the path. The 10 minutes had already passed, so Kemi must have been tailing me. Whenever I stopped, I could hear the sound of rustling grass in the distance. She was chasing me. From what I could tell, she was actually following the winding mountain path. That was good for me. I wanted her to keep it up. It made this more interesting. Maybe she wasn't really trying to catch me. The distance between us wasn't closing at all. I suddenly became a bit dizzy. There was the largest tree nearby. I sat down next to it so I could catch my breath. My vision suddenly turned dim. I quickly opened my eyes, but I had a bad feeling like I'd actually been out cold for a decent while. I tried standing up but realized that I couldn't move my limbs properly. I must have lost too much blood. The end was close. My dulled senses told me my pursuer was nearby. I tried finding the path again, but I couldn't for some reason. Apparently my sense of direction, perception, and judgment were fading too. Perhaps things would have worked out if I wasn't injured. No. This was a different realm. Though acknowledged by few, the outskirts of the village were the hunting ground of the merciless mountain god, Great Lord Shania. The only ones free to move in here
I couldn't wait, so I just came down.
were the madmen siding with the mountain god. This was unreasonable, unscientific, superstitious, abnormal. Why was Kemi up in the mountain? I'd always sensed her coming from below. What was that all about?
Alright, now love me while I kill you.
I couldn't even say a thing, but I felt like I still had a chance. I rolled down the mountain. Just start, if you weren't injured, just start running around a tree. An endless loop for the next bunch of hours until nighttime comes. Like, alright, it's been 7 hours and we've been circling this tree this entire time. You just can't, this dining room table, you just can't beat me. Alright, I've locked you in a stalemate. A line of cider, yeah.
Go, 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 do your best.
Brimming up with joy of the hunt, Kemi chased after me. Part of me wanted the mountain to just collapse. My path was blocked off by natural trees, plants, growth in general.
You're so, so cute.
My body was at its limit. Unable to tell whether my vision was turning dim or if the mist was becoming denser, I continued rolling. He's just rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep on rolling, roll, hide. Ha ha! I used the last bits of my energy to face her. The wolf was coming. It was close. It would devour both my flesh and soul alike. I won the feast, so I hoped that the mountain god would at least save my soul. I'd gone through a load of difficult shit thus far, so it wouldn't be unfair to let me have a peaceful ending, right? Yeah, I knew that well that the world wouldn't be such a kind place. The upcoming death would surely be more painful and dissolute than any before. After all, I knew the one granting it to me was the girl I once loved. I didn't want this. I never desired an ending like this. Shit, shit, shit. I didn't care if it made me look like a sore loser. I wanted to go out in a way that would leave a thorn in Kemi's heart. I thought a lot of meaningless things, but my words escaped me. The wolf's fang pierced the spider instead of me. Why? That was all I could say, physically and mentally. Why was she alive? Why was she here? Why did she protect me? The question spun in my head, but the only last one found an answer. Of course she would do this. She was a descendant of the Uematsu until the very end. Her sense of duty and justice hadn't faded, even on the brink of death. Okay, I'm not going to say that everybody needs to stop diving in front of everybody, but like, holy fuck, everyone needs to stop diving in front of everybody. Like, I was like, oh, last second, and we leap in. Like, okay, not to be hateful, Rikaku, but you could have had like a branch or something. Maybe what's his name's axe that he threw away in the village before after going on his rampage. She glanced at me, completely denying my assumption. That wasn't it. She was simply obeying her wretched, unwavering heart. After all, I was special to her. Sorry. I said another word. Sorry I couldn't stay with Miko. Sorry I couldn't protect everyone. Sorry I talked a wolf into a gamble that made it impossible for me to look you directly in the eye. That was the last word I could ever say. Even so, my eyes and ears... It constantly feels like there's something in my throat. Let me get more water. I was drinking before, but I didn't kind of like finish it off, so... I know this is like a very thing, but I'm sitting here like struggling with whatever the fuck is in my throat at the moment. Be right back. Okay. Let's give this a shot then. Even so, my eyes and ears were still active. Thus, I witnessed everything that happened. "Don't get in my way!" With a maddened scream, the mad woman tried to pull the knife out. But she couldn't. It was probably snagged in her ribs, so badly that neither pushing nor pulling helped.
Hammer.
Her voice was hard to make out due to all the blood leaving her mouth, but it was calm, gentle even.
I shall take in your corruption. What do you know? Yomi's corruption binds me no matter what.
Would I remember enough of this to think about what those words meant next time? My failing vision merged them into one, and I noticed Rikaku-san's hand reach for Kemi's neck by chance. Her fingers caught on something. It was something on a string. A pendant?
This is... No, don't look!
Kemi realized the knife snatched the object back and held it to her chest to hide it.
Shirazawa-sama.
Her voice was dense with pain. Not only that, it was also tinged heavily with pity.
I am so sorry. That is a corruption not even I can take in.
I had no idea what those words meant, but they carried an impact of a death blow for the wolf.
I knew it! I knew it! God! I'll kill you! Where are you? Where? I'll kill you! So come out!
With that scream, Kemi ran off somewhere, into the mist. She probably had no clear direction. Rikaku-san collapsed. So, I know there wasn't really a option for this, but can we, loop back in the day and get, Takumi and the old man near Kemi and be like, hey, I don't want to alert you, but I think I see something with Kemi right now. And then you fucking get the goddamn shotgun away from her when we're surrounding her and Mochi's not around. And then you'll be like, okay, yeah, we needed to do the same thing to Mochi too. Just like, hey, I was correct on this one. Let's go get Mochi. Well, why do you think we need to check everybody for weapons before we do this, okay? I think we should do that. Just even just saying that while everyone's there and be being on top of just being right behind Kemi, but yeah, I know she's about to pull some shit. I mean, come on, we can do that in a loop, right? We can kind of point out we need to check everybody first. Especially since you can just say the people who are suspicious. So Rikaku, Kemi, Mochi, and Yoshigitsu, even before the feast, we can pat them down for weapons and then put them in. I mean, come on. If we don't do that, that's going to be a really weird situation because we could literally just salvage this entire run. But anyway.
I am sorry, Haruka-sama.
Trying to move her heavy-looking robe, she tried to crawl over to me.
I could not protect Serizawa-sama or anyone else.
She wasn't the only one. I thought the exact same thing. I really wanted to say that and go out with a smile, but I could barely even breathe. I used the very last of my power to collapse towards her. I then reached for her hand.
Haruhaki-sama.
Her hand lay over mine. All life left her eyes, and we were gradually reduced to mere objects. Even so, her dying hand somehow felt warm.
When we rise again, I will be more honest.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to those feelings properly. I would destroy all my chances of losing, and I would leave the mist alongside this foolish, pure, lovable woman. Next time. For sure. Obtain key 15. Raging loop. Game over. Okay. Nope. I'm going to try figuring out where they want me to restart the loop without them giving me the hint. So there's still the biggest one. Let's see if I just pull up the, oh yeah, we'll have to sit through the day one. Yeah. So the biggest one the game still hasn't let me do yet. Which once again, it's not going to let me it's really weird how it's not going to let me choose to just tell everybody, let's pat everyone down before the final feast, and then we can make this just a better ending. So this is 20. We don't have that. We just got 15. This was... I don't think I needed to do this line. That we had all the keys for, I think, already, right? We've done Trust Takumi a dozen times, and that's got us to this. That was that random death for whatever reason. So, okay, so this is 15. This is the one we just got. Okay.
You are truly gentle.
I couldn't understand what you meant at all, so I thought about it for a few... Oh, this is for when Kemi says... Okay, yeah.
You heard all that? And you did not curse me as filthy.
Or talk... Okay, we'll just... skip. Yeah, okay. So this is when Kemi says, hey, let me stay, and you go, no, I think I want to keep myself safe. Okay. I suddenly opened the door. Yeah, I did it. Of course I would. I wouldn't want to see that ending again. Rikako-san was crying. Her voice had been clear and composed, and I assumed that she wasn't feeling anything. I was wrong. She was merely hiding it.
You promised not to open the door.
I had intended to keep that promise, but you both used it to make me look like a bad guy, so I changed my mind. What's with the Sora? Why does it feel like you're trying to be hated because of your past, just to make me the breakup cleaner? Is it a Fujiyoshiism or something? I've rejected tons of bothersome women like Kemi-chan in my life, so if it weren't for the situation, I'd be going nuts right now. I'm just about degenerate enough to decide someone like you is too rare to let go, so you should cut it out.
Huh?
Crap, I overdid it a bit. Well, I have no idea what you're thinking, but hearing about all that just made me value you more.
Huh?
I have loved to say that to Kemi-chan too, but that didn't make me a cheater, so I'll do something else instead. I'll win her over with some weird as hell reasoning and introduce her to a friend of mine. He's a bit more degenerate than I, but I think they'll get along. I'll pass her over like, yeah, have I introduced you to my friend? Wait, maybe Teach wouldn't be better for her. If Kemi-san doesn't mind slightly ugly baldies, she'll have someone really loyal and...
Haruki-sama, I do not think I understand, but why would you tell me that you like me now of all times?
Like I said, I want to play this by my own rules. I don't want someone else telling me how I should feel. Even if everyone else hates something, I happily take it. If you want me to hate you, find a better way to go about it. You're the one who said that you love me, so you better take responsibility for that. It also kind of makes sense why Kemi is the wolf is... Like, once again, she was barely mentioned this entire time. I think she was one of my predictors. I have to go back and watch my prediction before I knew anything about this loop. But I think she was one of my predictions because it just would have hurt more because of the last one. But also why she's like, Kemi's all over me even though we barely fucking interact. She was just being like, oh, I just really wanted to kill you this whole fucking time. So it's just like full-on yandere bullshit. Anyway, if you want me to hate you, find a better way to go about it. You're the one who said that you love me. So you better take responsibility for that. You dumb idiot. Rikako-san's a moron. You alive? Thump. Ah, she finally broke.
What? What was that about? Are you a fool?
Yeah, seriously, what's that about?
That's my line.
Anyway, enough with the personal grudges. Can we consider the bet still on? The one where we'd win if we survived and could ask the other for whatever we wanted. If we survive, we can ask for whatever we want, and I'm not planning on asking for anything that would ruin it.
You are such a strange person. Serizawa-sama was surely right to call you a bad boy.
I didn't confirm or deny that.
Even so, hearing that from you makes me happy enough. I am satisfied.
Not good enough. Well, maybe. Adult love wasn't solid enough to play it out through just jokes and improvisation. And again, we adults could survive without needing anything fancy. It was a virtue as well as a vice. Please give me your answer when you survive tomorrow. You might be killed by the wolves tonight. You took a gamble and revealed yourself to protect Miko and I. If you don't wake up tomorrow, it would mean I wasn't worthy of asking you something like this. I'll back off if that happens.
Haruki-sama.
There. I was now at a key point. This tragedy-drunk heroine wouldn't die today. It would be the most unfortunate Kaori-san. Honestly, I wasn't sure how to feel about that. But I would test it this once.
At the very least, can you grant me one final gift?
Nope. I will survive the night, and that'll be my goal in life.
It might be impudent of me, but it makes me happy.
I was the impudent one here. After all, I was making moves on a girl that could die tonight.
Anyway, goodbye.
Ah, wait.
Anything else?
I could finally get into the main matter at hand. There's something I'd like to ask you, as a night watcher. Oh, is he asking what's one corruption that even she couldn't cure? This is the same thing that she said out to Kemi the night before. That'd be a good question to ask. All right, I swear to God, if you don't frisk them for weapons first, this time I will go fucking apeshit. All right. It was the day after I did the prep work. I approached the plaza, met up with Yoshigitsu-kun, acted surprised when I heard the bad news. I once again saw the remains of poor unfortunate Kaori-san. I then listened to the brothers opening up, saw them find the letter, noticed the fingers were placed in the same position as last time. This had to be Kemi's idea. In a particular timeline, she didn't seem to be anything more than a bloodthirsty madwoman. I felt like she'd been the one who decided that destroying the entire body was the way to go. And Mochi didn't hesitate to agree. I badly underestimated just how warped that boy's personality was. Poor Mayami-san. I knew she was an enemy, but I couldn't help but feel sympathy for her. Thus began the feast of the Yomi Purge. Yasunaga-kun presented the scenario set up by the wolves. I turned it around. Everything was about the same as last time. If I didn't change my words, things would go exactly the same. Or if you didn't... What? Okay. Even before the purge, all you had to say was, hey, Takumi and Old Man, we really need to frisk the people who aren't confirmed humans before we go in there. Let's take them one at a time, but away. We'll go for Kemi first for some reason. Just Kemi first. And then we'll just make sure there's nothing on them, just in case, Who knows what the wolves might do in desperation? If I didn't change my words, things would go exactly the same way as last time. Of course they would. The people I was talking to were the exact same. Strangely enough, I also said the exact same things without relying much on memories from last time. Or maybe it wasn't that strange. After all, though I had memories of the previous loop, I was the exact same person. If I'd somehow lost the memories of the final moments of the loop, I'd definitely be heading up for the same ending right now. But in this case, it didn't matter if everything was the same as last time. I could just go with the flow and do the same thing as last time. After all, it was already over. That's why they were betting on, I assume. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work. Just like last time, everyone focused on Chikamochi, who had a half smile on his face.
That seems really one-sided. I mean, we have no proof that Hassan and Richan are what they claim to be.
And just like last time, he was bringing up arguments that had already been shot down.
And maybe you can actually read Mami Kaori's finger some other way. Mochi.
And just like last time, Kemi.
That's enough.
It's getting cringeworthy.
Then...
yeah. Okay, I think it would be hilarious if we just got rid of all their bullets. Okay. Let's say we knew where the guns were the whole time and we just removed all the bullets. Okay, if that's what happens here, if that's the prep work he talked about, I will laugh my fucking ass off if they pull the trigger and nothing fucking happens. Or they fucking Looney Tunes it where the gun just blows up in their face instead. It's like, oh shit, oh damn, oh well. I guess it was Kemi hunting season after all. Let's kill them all. They went and did it. They drew their guns from their sleeves. I've been wondering why Mochi was in the school uniform this time, and this made me realize it was to hide the gun. The barrels and grips on them both were really cut short, probably for the same purpose. One of them was aimed in our direction, while the other was aimed at Kanzo-san, who was already charging at them. Their intense change paralyzed everyone except him and Takumi-san, who would now make a move and dive for the shotgun blasts. However, that didn't happen this time. The guns didn't fall. He removed I took out the bullets. The guns didn't fire anything. A moment after Kemi's expression warped with shock, Kanzo-san punched Mochi, while Takumi's son tackled Kemi. Her lightweight body was thrown backwards and hit the wall. Takumi-san quickly grabbed the shotgun, aimed at the floor, and pulled the trigger to ignite the shell in the other chamber. Once again, the gun didn't fire. He frowned, then opened it, removing the cartridges and threw them away along with the gun. Kanzo-san handled the situation a different way. He simply pointed Mochi's gun back at his former master. "So you're a wolf!" His face, swollen due to the punch, was crouching down and glaring at Kanzo-san. "Bring the rope."
Shit! Let me go! Why? Damn it!
Takumi-san took advantage of her struggling and pushed her down. She couldn't move at all. Things became a bit disorderly as we tied them up, but now it was relatively calm in here. "What the hell was that about?" These words weren't directed at anyone, but everyone besides me related to him. "They're dummies," Kanzo-san said while looking at the shells from the shotgun he'd taken from Mochi. Everyone understood what he meant. "You got the wrong ones?"
No way!
Exactly. There was no way the cartridges she checked just yesterday were switched in a single evening. The only one with any idea what was responsible for this paranormal phenomenon was Rikaku-san. Last night, I'd asked her to catch Kemi and have a cat fight with her. That gave me time I need. Wait, what?
Wait! Okay, this is even more fucking insane! What do you mean? Oh, I asked her to talk to her so I could send her out to have a fucking cat. I just wanted a little girl-on-girl action, and then, let me just take this time. Oh, I broke out the what the fuck? I'm like, what would have stopped her from killing Rikako in a heat of violence? Like, by accident, and just like, Kemi just went off the fucking deep end and just started strangling her or something like that. Oh no, I just had her go off and start shit, and then I went and changed everything. Okay. Alright, whatever. I thought you did that this morning. You just went and changed out the bullets on them, so this morning after you told everyone to meet up. That's what I thought you meant when you said you got the preparations ready, not you started shit last night. That's the fuck. That gave me the time I needed to go to Kemi's room and mess with her equipment. A lot of it depended on luck, and I needed a couple loops. Wait, you needed a couple... What? What? What do you mean? You needed a couple loops? What do you mean there's more loops? How many more? Is there a whole box? What the fuck? God, you mean needed a couple of loops? What? You were digging around, exchanging the bullets, Kemi found you and killed you? What do you mean? What do you fucking mean? Rikaku-san, I need you to cure her. I need you to take in her corruption by just slapping her and starting a fight. I'm gonna break out the mud. I'm gonna break out the mud pit. You two just have at it for a while. Okay, yeah. There's a few times Rikaku took it a bit too far and Kemi did kill her. You're like, shit, alright. And then you just took the shotgun, blew your own head off. I was like, alright, let's try this again. A lot of it depended on luck. And I needed a couple of loops, but I somehow pulled it off. It wasn't fair in the least, but my life was at risk here, and I actually died, so I really didn't care. Don't worry about the repair costs. Just run back to your body. I'll keep rezzing if it doesn't work out so well. I'll pay for the repair costs. It's just take the res sickness. It'll be fine. We don't need to come back. Out of everything I expected him to do, this is the most fucking insane way of doing it. Everyone continued to talk about how the shells were replaced, but since I decided to stay quiet, they didn't reach a conclusion. Now, everyone was left with the harsh truth that these two were wolves who just tried to kill everyone here. Thus, everyone began talking about how to handle them. Yasunaga-kun decided we tie them up and lock them in somewhere. He argued that, now that we knew they were wolves, all we had to do was prevent any further murders and make them unable to move. Nope,
Definitely you have to stay with the fucking thing. You hang one of them now. Make sure the other one stays tied up in their thing. If they don't kill somebody at night, maybe the corruption will just kill them anyway. If not, we hang them the next day. But you need to make sure they can't fucking just leave. Unless something sneaks in and lets the wolf out anyway. But they still have to obey rules. So it's not like they can just kill everyone. I mean, I guess they could just kill everyone there if they don't have to obey rules anymore. Tempest Keep was merely a setback. My name is Haruki, and I'm the protagonist of Raging Loop. Loop 5069 was merely a setback. When asked for his reasoning, he insisted that wolves had to be hanged, and their argument wasn't going anywhere. Most of Kanzo-san's decisions were influenced by the legend and his own experience, so he didn't have a proper way to deal with a situation that's unorthodox. Yasunaga-kun, on the other hand, was bound by conscience and emotions, making Kanzo-sama's option unacceptable for him. That left me no choice but to weigh in. May I say something? Now everyone, even Kanzo-san, landed an ear to my words.
Also, I find it funny that in this bit of story here, he admits that he went through and looped multiple times to get one specific small thing to change, yet the game doesn't let us do that constantly throughout the story. Expectedly so, because it would make the story last forever. But why would you suddenly, like, show light that, oh yeah, I can just, for mundane small reasons, keep dying just to change one thing slightly? Like, what other loops could you just have done that? Have you ever, like, does that happen and you just don't tell us? Did the first loop we ever did you just try going in and just telling everybody those are the wolves, kill them now? How much of the story haven't we been told that this motherfucker's been doing behind our back?
Anyway, now everyone, even Kanzo-san, lended an ear to my words. It took too long for me to get to this point. Makashima-san, do you believe it's important to kill only one per day and not any more, right? Well, Yasunaga-kun just doesn't want to kill them at all. Yes, I admit it. Now that the culprits are log or supernatural phenomenon, I believe we should leave their judgment to the rule of law. What they did is unforgivable, but we shouldn't be the ones to punish them. We only did the previous hangings because it was an emergency, and we had no other choice. Since they aren't a threat to us when bound, we could just leave them like that. Yeah, but then we would be killed. By the corruption, possibly, if we're not doing our duty. We would have to vote to not hang anybody each time, and then the game just wouldn't end. And if it doesn't, we'll be left with no choice but to consider it another emergency that requires drastic measures. The boy was talking sense, but first, I'm not so sure if binding them would be effective. What do you mean? The game master here, Great Lord Shinai, can unlock our front doors. Isn't it natural to think he can undo any bindings too? That's... Also, if we only hang one each day, one human would die tonight. They have no chance of winning, but they'll take this kill.
No, we wouldn't. Yeah, it's pointless.
They were easy to read. Yes, Naga-kun, do you want to know why I'm certain that they would kill? Yes, do tell. It's because these wolves are extremely cruel. I walked up to them. Remember Hisako Mamiya-san? She suddenly claimed to be the snake on the second day and began acting all strange. She was probably ordered to do it by Kemi Serizawa. There was some noise in the room. Kemi was still hanging her head. She probably told Mamiya-san that being a snake was safe, even though she knew that Kanzo-san was already to hang anyone claiming to be the snake. And it actually led to Tei-san, an innocent, getting hanged. You planned that, didn't you?
Doesn't matter.
Mamiya-san then died that night, and that was probably her doing too. Why would you think that? Because she's an outsider. She couldn't trust her, and it was possible that she'd really betray her, or rarely betray her. It was highly likely that she would have been hanged the next day. Kanzo-san was pushing for it after all. These two tricked Mamiya-san into being a scapegoat, so she probably didn't trust them and was afraid of them. It was completely possible that she'd reveal who the other wolves were during the hanging. That's why you killed her at night. You basically silenced her. But that would mean that they killed two in one night. Nope, she was subject to the corruption. The wolves must have rules too, and she went against them. Or rather, was made to go against them by these two.
You're just guessing. Whatever.
Please the diet, damn it.
It's a pain, so I'll just say it. Yeah, he's completely right. Wow, Haruki-san, you're so cool. And Yasukun's even more soft-brained than I thought. GAD. We had our reasons for doing what we did, and we had a right to keep doing it until the end. So stop it with the questions. You're a pain.
Kimmy, you damn.
Please stop. I understand how you feel. That'd be a waste of time.
You can't reach an understanding with those who became wolves. So what are we doing with them?
My suggestion is that we cut off one's limbs and hang the other one. Okay. All right. All right. I underestimated how awesome our protagonist was. What the fuck? All right. He's like, all right, Kemi killed me so many fucking times in all these loops. We're fucking making her a quadriplegic, all right? We're done with this shit. We're just nope, we don't need these. Holy fuck. Anyway, my suggestion is that we cut off one's limbs and hang the other one. If we do that, the one without limbs won't be able to go around even if unbound, so we'd probably be safe. And if we hanged one tomorrow, the wolves would be exterminated. The mission clear by the day after, and...
Fusashi,
Yes?
what did you just say?
I'm saying we should keep one from walking around and using weapons by cutting off their limbs? Huh? What the hell's with their reaction? Is there a problem with that?
You seriously saying we cut off Chikamochi's or Kimi's limbs?
Yeah? Wouldn't that be enough? If we removed them from the base, they couldn't even crawl, right?
You really are a fucking lunatic.
True, yes. We are saying some fucking insane shit right now. That's way too cruel.
I understand. They are wolves. But that is...
Plus, also, you can't guarantee that the person you cut the fucking limbs off doesn't just die.
The way to step too far.
What?
Fusashi-san, you're scary.
Why? Rikako-san, would cutting off their limbs make us target of the corruption?
I have not heard of anything that implies that.
Excuse me, but aren't you the ones who hanged a couple of people just because of history and legends? But we
put them to rest.
I heard that hanging is actually a really painful way to go. Even if it wasn't, they were being lynched because of popular vote. That alone must have been utterly terrifying. The wolves murdered so cruelly, and you're all acting like this? You're all pretty good-natured, aren't you? Wait, that's a good thing, isn't it? Humane. I see. Yeah, the fact that you're not understanding how fucking psycho the shit you just said is, like, why are you saying something so tone-deaf to these people? They all fell silent. But even I could understand that there was something within them that made them averse to my idea. Can we break their limbs instead? The effect would be the same, right? Or perhaps the Sada Sensei could poison them in a way that would make them die right about tomorrow? Stop it. I can't ensure that they would survive that. The shock from the pain alone might kill them. And I happen to be a doctor. I cannot poison. We're not like the wolves. I see. I understand. I seem to have misunderstood you all. What now, though? I guess someone's dying today. This was such a pain. Why did they argue against my suggestion if they had none of their own?
If it must be done, I shall take it upon myself.
No, I'll do it.
Don't push yourselves. We mustn't do that.
Stop it, all of you. We can still think this through.
It's fine. That's enough. I'll die myself. Can you hang Mochi first? No one should get the corruption then. Wow, clear-headed until the end, huh?
Huh? What are you planning now?
I don't want to get my limbs cut off.
Even wolves are afraid of some things, huh?
Alright, I'll apologize to Haru-chan when I get to her.
You're not going to the same place as her.
Huh? I'm not Rick-chan? The hanged are saved. The ones killed by wolves are not. Want to switch?
I don't care enough. It's fine. Regardless of the way, it'll be over once you die. So I'll take it upon myself to kill you. Why did this have to happen?
Just because.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't really get it. But I felt like we had no choice.
Yasunaga ordered me to punch Chikamochi Kamoshida.
Sorry, Hassan. I really am.
Sorry. Rise not.
Hahaha.
Yasunaga-kun pushed him forward. A moment later, the rope went taut. It shook for a moment,
and slowly swayed back and forth, and finally stopped completely. Yasunaga-kun cut the rope. From the mist below, we heard the sound of something soft collapsing, then hitting the shallow water below. You're next, Kemi.
Alrighty.
This isn't the same as directly killing her.
Who knows? Shinai-san or whatever will be the judge of that, right?
You're gonna die just like that, without even saying sorry or anything?
Yeah, that's the kind of girl I am, right? You knew that from the time I almost killed the brats in Kama Fujiyoshi, didn't you? Well, I went on and acted like a good girl after that. Fooled you good, didn't I? How's it feel? I knew that kind of guy Mochi was all kind of used to control him. Don't get mad at him, okay? It's all my fault. Hate me all you want.
Looking backward, she stepped up to the cliff.
Congrats, Rikako-san. The obstacle's out of the way, and looks like all that's about to work out, doesn't it? That's not what the Feast of the Yomi Purge is about. We who live with the mountain have been given a burden, and we must bear and pay respects to it for all eternity. I am here to simply take in that burden. Then if I'm born again, I'll come kill you directly this time. You're the last one of the spiders, aren't you? You have some descendants. Teach them whatever grand nonsense they taught you and wait for me to come get you. There is no need to be like that. Shut up! I'll kill you now! Joking! See ya!
Kemi,
What?
what is God? Her pupils instantly shrunk.
I knew it. You really are the scariest thing here, Haruki-san. I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you all so much for letting me kill myself.
She took 3 steps back.
You have no idea how scared I was when I thought my limbs were going to get cut off. Seriously. Haruki-san, if only we were wolves together.
I don't want that.
See ya.
Okay, that would be funny if the next loop we actually are wolves together. She turned around and ran, as fast as possible, into the mist, and jumped.
Oh, hoi!
Rise not. I'm going. I alone turn around. Huh? But you still haven't. I didn't want to hear it. She probably phoned the world different from ours, and I got the impression I wouldn't hear a sound. I didn't want to listen to the echoing silence. We then went to clean up Kaori-san's body. After spacing out a bit, we all cut some veggies and ate them uncooked. It was hard to make a fire in the mist, and as people of Fujiyoshi, no one felt like using fires other than the one in the watering hole, and everyone was averse to using the dining hall. Thus, everyone went to sleep. No. For the first time since the feast began, none of us could sleep. Morning came without us getting any rest. And the mist was gone. No one had died, of course. Everything was as the legend said. With the Yamatsu Yokami gone, peace came back to the human village. However, it was hard to celebrate it. Yudai Hashimoto, Tei Yamakawa, Hisato Mamiya, Haru Makishima, the old man who cried wolf, Kaori Oribe, Chikamochi Kamoshida, and Kemi Serizawa. A whole 8 people died. Even if 2 of them were outsiders, the settlement had suffered great losses. Everyone had an aversion to using fire to dispose of any remaining objects that carried signs of murder, so it was decided that they would be buried. The tatami, the floorboards, the futon, all of it. We also ended up making new gravestones for those we had lost. Rikako-san had told us that the graveyard near the hanging pine was full of the feast's victims, so there was nothing under the stones. So, has he passed away or something?
Yes, it was a peaceful death.
Those who died normally would be burned at this crematorium in Kama Fujiyoshi, run by the Higuchi, then buried there. Those who didn't would be thrown into Saranaga and simply vanish. Making sure no one saw me, I went down to the Saranaga. There was nothing. No corpses or belongings. Just like last time, Saranaga was just a thin, shallow stream. However, I did find one thing. It was a pen. Okay. So this is what what's her name had, which means that she was a wolf the whole time, I guess. Since this is the symbol of the wolf, there was a pendant of the Yamatsu Yokami symbol on it. What was this? Was someone wearing it? Yeah, Kemi. What did it mean for someone in Fujiyoshi to wear something like this? At this point, I didn't feel like investigating it anymore. Was that strange? No. I felt like that was just how things were. Days passed of us working on and this and that. We somehow survived thanks to the food from the fields, and right as we were finishing up our work, help finally arrived. Kama Fujiyoshi sent some people to remove the landslide blocking the road, and now they'd finally made it. Are you all well? It had been a while since I saw Soji Higuchi. He looked as friendly as always. Soji, what took you so long? We wanted to work faster, but we had some unexplainable accidents while trying. We were only able to make progress after the mist cleared. So, is everyone alright? No one answered. Higuchi-shi began looking sympathetic and started giving some orders to his people. Eventually, we were brought to Kama Fujiyoshi and were made to spend a few days like refugees in some community center. Apparently, this was temporary. The village head said they needed time to clean up Yasumizu after the disaster. I really appreciated the 3 daily meals they gave us from the nearby watering hole, and sleeping in a place without any mist at all was pleasant. The food was strangely fancy, and the people bringing it seemed somewhat humble. They'd always looked down on the people of Yasumizu, but now that we'd stopped the Yomi invasion, they actually revered us. That was just a guess, though, as I still looked up here with nothing to do. One day, I actually got to see the officer. It actually kind of felt nostalgic at this point. Oh, you're alive? That's great. This is yours, right? It's no use to us, so take it back already. My bike. The weeks of exposure to the elements had left it looking really shabby. I had nothing better to do, so I decided to clean it. We are almost done restoring Yasumizu, so you will be able to return soon. Fusashi-san, why not drive far away for a change of pace? I actually wanted to return to Yasumizu, though. When I told Takumi-san that I'd take Miko to the police once everything was settled and then return, he told me that I didn't have to. Rikaku-san said she'd help him work the fields, and he'd accepted it. Kanzo-san fixed his rifle and began hunting again. Yasunaga-kun resumed going to school. Yoshigitsu-kun moved to the dorm and said that he'd start going to school again, too, joining his brother. Kiyonosuke-shi would, as planned, become a part-time doctor at Kama Fujiyoshi's clinic. When Kanzo-san returned from our shelter, Kiyonosuke-shi actually looked after him like a proper doctor, which was some impressive character development. Anyway, since it all seemed to be fine here, Takumi-san told me that I didn't have to return. Well, I can't say I don't have stuff for you to do, but you have a place to return to, right? I really wouldn't blame you if you didn't come back. But keep in mind that you have a woman waiting for you here. And honestly, I'm not sure I want to do but farm with her. I'll be back right after I'm done with some business. I did consider returning to the life I have, but I figured I would stay here instead. Well, I guess I'll see you then. Your turn. Oh. She was hiding behind that tree? With her pale skin turning rosy, she meekly walked up to me. Miko, stay in good health. Hey, what about me? Oni-chan, you're supposed to talk to Fujiyoshi-san. Even she understood it. How precious of her. Haruki-sama, please, stay in good health. I'd assume that fact she wasn't treating this like the final meeting was a step forward. But no, I wouldn't let it fly. I hadn't survived just to say goodbye to you. Those words aren't enough for me. Please, come visit, every now and then. She sure was persistent. You're being a sore loser right now, Rikaku-san. We're close enough to call each other by name. If you take just one more step forward, I might decide to do something big. There were a lot of things I wanted to give to her and take from her. I was sure I'd find happiness if we made proper exchanges. After all, that was the sole light I'd ever seen in this dreadful mist. I wouldn't give up on it, no matter what. Haruki-sama. Yes? Because I would be lonely. Yes, you'd be lonely your whole life. Because I love you. Yes, you weren't even allowed to love anyone. And because this is all new to me. Yes, for the first time ever, you sought your own happiness. Please, come back to me. I couldn't control myself. Whoa, showing off, huh? Kissy! I let her go, and she looked up at me with angry eyes. She'd become a lot more expressive, and I found that nothing if not lovable. I would live out the rest of my life with her. This journey brought me something unexpected and led me to a really happy ending. I promise, once I deal with everything outside, I will come back here.
Please do.
Then it'll be my turn to say something.
I understand. I shall believe and wait for you.
And it was little then that I know, riding my motorcycle out of the city, that I accidentally tripped because my bike was rusty and crappy, and I died. And I had to start the whole loop over again. Borrowing the Higuchi's help, I got everything I needed, secured Miko behind me with a children's belt, and left Fujiyoshi. Upon arriving at the closest city, I presented her as a lost child. They asked me questions, of course. I admitted some things, but didn't tell a lie at all. They thought I seemed shady, but I was able to prove my identity, and they let me off.
Bye-bye, Fusayaki-san.
She waved, all smiles. She still couldn't get my name right. This reminded me that nothing that happened in Yasumizu had drawn police attention. I had no idea who done it or didn't do what to make it turn out like that, but I didn't care anymore. It was all just the way it was. Or maybe it just goes where he lives out his entire, that would suck, right? You live out your entire life, and then you go to old age, and then you die like 70 years later, and suddenly you're back at the beginning of the fucking thing going, oh no. You have all the memories of like an entire lifetime, and you're like, nope, you've got to start over. You got to do a completely different one. Oh, that would suck so much ass. Like, god damn it, I had a happy ending and I got to do it again? What if you get to the point where you just start doing this particular loop multiple times in a row because you just want to keep experiencing it again and again and again? And then you're like, alright, well, I'll try to go find the solution this time. What was up with the looping business anyway? Was killing the wolves the condition for ending the loop? If that was the case, then it was caused by something that wanted the wolves to lose no matter what. No other explanation fit. Who would that be, though? Great Lord Shinai? That fit the story, but it often seemed like he didn't have a horse in this race. Also, if his only way to help the humans was to give out the guardians and send me, then he was a seriously bothersome god. Would I go back in time if I died now? I didn't even care to try, not to mention that situations in which you could easily die were the abnormal ones. Also, I'd actually left the village this time, which made the current situation different than any other so far, and it was best to assume I wouldn't loop again. That was probably just the way it was. I stayed in that city for a while and contacted certain people, telling them that I would now be a farmer in a remote village. That got me in some serious trouble, but Yasumizu got no service anyway, so it wasn't like they could do anything about it. I cut ties with my previous life in 3 days, then entered a jeweler store and bought the ring with the nicest design. It had a gem as red as her eyes, covered in gems as clear as her hair. It wasn't particularly expensive, but I felt suited her better than any of the others. Then, just as I promised, I returned to Fujiyoshi. I went to the officer, talked to Higuchi-san, passed the mountain path, arrived at Yasumizu. And they were all dead. Kemi didn't die, and she murdered them all just now. Of course. Yep. Why? Why was everyone dead? Why was Yasunaga Orobe dead? He'd survived after saying goodbye to his best friend and the girl that was like a sister to him, hadn't he? Why was Yoshigitsu Orobe dead? He made it through his mother's death, found common ground with his brother, and had his whole life ahead of him, didn't he? Why was Kanzo Makishima dead? He lost his granddaughter, protected Yasumizu, and was about to live out his twilight years in peace, wasn't he? Why was Takumi Muro dead? The likable guy had discarded his inner discord, believed in himself, and helped bring us to victory, hadn't he? Why were all of their heads split open? It was supposed to be over. We ended it all. That was how it was supposed to be, right? I begged, hoped that someone was still alive. If no one was, what would have been the point of these sacrifices? Alright, well, you just do the loop again, and this time you just don't leave the fucking town. Found one. A survivor. He was covered in blood, and held an axe covered in blood and gray matter. The wolves are coming. Wait. Are you telling me that someone has to become the Okay. That I think would be fucking hilarious. That somebody has to become the old wolf man. That would be insane. Okay. The wolves are coming. I then went to murder him. After all, on one of the support beams. In the hall I found him in was her body hanging hopelessly. What the hell? What was all this? Why had I thought that I had it all in the bag? Everything was dead. Everything was lost. And I hadn't reached an end yet. Shinai-san's guardians are. The outside was shrouded in mist. 1 snake, 2 monkey, 3 crow, 4 spider. As though led by something. 5, prepare for the feast when the evening mist arrives. I passed the empty plaza. 6, the badger runs along late with ne'er as a fix. Went down the barren hill. 7, the corrupt Yomibito rise to oppose the mountain.
Did you come to see me? I'm so happy.
8, death of the Dame Yomibito is the mandate. Did you believe you could escape? Fall, rise, rise again and again. 9, 1 soul per day, not a bind. 10, the mists rise away again. As I threw myself into Suranaga's mists.
No, Haruki-sama.
I felt like I could hear her voice. Rikaku-san. I couldn't fulfill my promise. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't cry for me. I couldn't make you happy. I couldn't do anything to help you feel normal happiness. I couldn't dispel the darkness of Fujiyoshi, and I couldn't even get close to the core of the mystery surrounding it. How? What could I have done here? I needed a new path. I had to find one that could lead me to the truth.
Okay. So just loop again and just, like, don't fucking leave. And be suspicious of what's his fucking name murdering everybody. Because this is, like, completely out of the blue. And it's like he just turned into fucking the crazy wolf man again. So, like, that's, like... Just loop again? Just choose not to leave the town this time? I know it's not an option I can actually choose, but, like, come on. The fuck? I mean, I understand. They don't want the game to actually end. They, you know, there's more to do here, but... The murder music. Okay, which key is this? Key 16. Okay. Ending number 2. Launch the hint corner. Nope. I'm going to keep going about on my own until I figure it out. Okay, so there's still 2 things that we can choose. I don't know if I'm allowed to choose them yet. But there's letting the one guy survive, swapping places with him. There's also some investigating that we can do that we didn't have keys for before. So I think that's like down here somewhere, right? So, because these are both dead ends. 15 was that split. Voting is that split. Then there's this, which is, I think this is just a dead wrong ending. Because this is just you saying that you're the snake, and I'm going to, the way that this fits, this is probably just an instant dead end. There might be a key here, but I'm going to save that as, like, I don't think so. So we'll save that if I get, like, really stuck. This is if we don't trust him, which I guess could be its own path. But I think it just ends up with us being dead again. So I'm going to ignore that one for now as well. This had a whole bunch of keys, which I think we just needed to have them all to keep going. Let's see. Yeah, this is just choosing different people. This doesn't mean anything to me.
So, besides... So, this is... We don't vote for Takumi and somebody gets hanged, but it would have been Rikaku who gets hanged, which means that we pretty much going to fucking lose the loop if Rikaku dies. That's if we reveal our guardian correct. These all feel like they're just, because they don't have any keys, these just feel like they're just dead ends. This was an investigation that we've got keys for. So this is 20. We don't have key 20 yet, right? Yeah, we don't have key 20, so that's not something we can do yet. And it does sound like we need a completely different loop that has something else onto it. Because there's that. These are just these keys. Because there's the one where we can choose to swap houses with the guy. What's this 2 and 3? Did we have... Yeah. Yeah, so this is the... So we need keys 3 and 20 to just have the reporter guy not be killed on the first night. So it looks like this entire section is lobbed off, and this is where we need to make our break. But that's also key 20. Key 20 keeps showing up, and we don't have it. So key 20 is something that we need. Key 16. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. This was the split I was looking for, where we swap with Hashimoto. He goes into the place with the bathroom so he isn't murdered by the whatchamacallit. And because Hashimoto is here, he unbalances the votes, or maybe even one of us also get another power, or maybe it randomizes who gets what again. All right, this was the one I was looking for. This is the one I kept looking for, so this is the one I'll go for now. This was it. If I let Hashimoto-san take the prefab, his death would be unavoidable. By keeping him alive, I should be able to create a different timeline. Okay, so the ending of that loop was what the exact key you needed for this one, yeah, okay. Still, why did he murder everyone? He seems like the last person who would do it? Unless he, like, it definitely feels like the heads of the village might have told him he had to do it anyway, or something. This definitely makes it feel like the village is definitely fucking with us constantly. I still really think it's not supernatural, and that Shinai-sama is just affecting us. We're the supernatural bit, and everything else is the village doing twisted bullshit. Because the village was also told the other wolves their reason to kill last time. Said that, oh, the wolves killing everybody is actually saving them. Anyway, simply surviving wasn't enough. That meant I had to try all possible options. I had to reveal all the things I was ignorant or afraid of. For all I knew, I might have been overlooking some minor yet important details. But first, I wanted to try more impactful changes. Letting Hashimoto-san survive would have to greatly affect the timeline. That already happened once. With Mamiya-san's survival, it even changed the guardians people received. I could still remember the last loop. I became the snake, took out the wolves, and decided to live alongside the survivors. Most importantly, Rikako-san. These sentiments had earned a reasonably cruel conclusion. I could still remember the sadness and despair, but I couldn't really understand it. Why had I forgotten my fear of the unknown? Why had it been so easy for me to decide to move to Yasumizu and live alongside Rikaku Yumatsu? Was I just that kind of person? I didn't know. I mean, if you don't look, if I was not hopelessly addicted and loving video games, and you said all you have to do is just do some work out in the fields every once in a while, and you can live in a remote village where you don't have to worry about having a house. You don't really have to worry about having a food. You can just hang around with a person that you like in a remote village that you could still get some things. I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That might be a nice choice. I don't have to worry about all this other dumb shit and stuff like that. I'll just hang out in the middle of a fucking village. Doesn't even sound like they even have to worry about taxes because whatever the other village takes care of that instead. You know what? Not that bad. Except for the whole mist comes and we have to worry about the fucking wolf game thing. That seems like I wouldn't want, like Konzo-san. I really wouldn't want to live that twice in my fucking life. That sounds like a really bullshit thing. But you know what? Not that bad. I can hang out with a cute girl I like and just kind of live out in the mountains and just do whatever. Except I really, really, really like video games and I'd probably be bored as fuck out there. Like, look, I'll live here, but we need to get internet stat. I need to watch TV, okay? I didn't know why, but it definitely seemed like, or Twitch. I didn't seem like I was really myself back then. I felt like I'd become a part of something greater, not just an individual. The gears all snapped into place and brought forth that tragic ending. These feelings and guesses coming to my head left me without a clue as to from where they came from. Without a clue as to where to go from here. There we go. As part of me died, I felt like fate or something divine existed, and I couldn't escape it. Control. Wow. All right. Lock in. Words in order. Read them. A part of me did feel like fate or something divine existed and that I couldn't escape its control no matter what. But my knowledge, discretion, perception, and intuition wanted to deny that line of thinking. There was no absolute fate. If there was something like that, it was either someone's elaborate plot or just a product of my imagination that seemed like it. I still don't understand why we didn't use our looping power to find out why he fucking killed everybody. Like, come on. We could at least have found out why he did it. I wasn't being a conspiracy theorist here, or a nihilist for that matter. However, I wanted to reject lines of thinking that stifled my ability to come up with ideas. If I could think creatively, I might be able to find gaps in these seemingly impenetrable bars jailing me here. Once again, if this was actually happening and you were actually looping, imagine just doing crazy bullshit. Like, I know this is something I think I've referenced on stream, and it's literally the fucking symbol, but there's a Stargate episode where they're caught in a time loop, and they start doing, like, crazy shit. Like, golfing through the Stargate, or doing a massive assault on a Goa'uld stronghold, or, you know, just random, just dumb shit. Like, they were getting bored of the loop and just kind of fucking around half the time. Imagine how much you could do if you just went into the loop, knew who the people was, and you were just like, yep, those three are the wolves. Those are the wolves. I guarantee you, they're the wolves right now. I'm doing it. Do it. I don't care. Kill me if you want. They're the wolves. I'll start this fucking loop opener and I'll try this again. You just keep trying it many times. Hell, you even go ape shit yourself and you just kill all the wolves, even though you know you're gonna get corrupted to death. You're like, I don't give a fuck. I'll just loop back again anyway. You just get a little bit of revenge. You get those sawed-off shotguns. Just go pop. Fuck you, Mochi. It's not my goddamn name. Anyway, if I could think creatively, I might be able to find gaps in these seemingly impenetrable bars jailing me here.
Fusashi-kun, is anything wrong?
No, nothing. But since I'm going to stay here every day from now on, I think you should at least have it for one night.
What?
I heard that Fujiyoshi has a culture of giving guests a warm welcome. If I'm to become part of it, I think I should do the same.
Traveler reverence? That fits general location, but not the state of the village itself. Did you hear it from Higuchi-san?
Ah, crap. That was info where Kaku-san had given me last loop. Well, I've been treated nicely and they gave me a place to stay.
You're a generous person, aren't you?
Huh? Nope, not at all.
Why not accept this kindness, Hashimoto-san?
I guess I will. All good.
After parting ways with them, I went to Kaori-san and had her help me get a shabby blanket, some newspapers, and a water bucket. There was only one bucket they could let me use, and it was a pretty bad state, showing once again just how dire Yasumizu's supply problem was. The newspapers weren't the daily news, but there were some old ones brought from Kami Fujiyoshi as material supplies. I spread them out on the floor and placed the blanket on them. That was my sleeping spot today. I also brought a portable toilet at the convenience store. Now, wait, what? What? Wait. Now we're just making up earlier in the loop I bought a toilet? I swear. Just piss in the corner. What do you mean? I got a portable toilet. You got a bucket, okay? That's all you need. Just don't poop. Wait till the morning. You fall asleep anyway. Piss in the corner, fall asleep. You know magic puts you to sleep anyway. It's fine. It's fine. Just take a gamer piss, okay? I wouldn't be faced with a difficult choice of either die or piss myself. Just piss in the corner. Open up the window and piss out the window. I don't know, bro. Come on. What do you mean? Oh, I went to the convenience store and she pulled out a portable toilet out of her ass again. I get it. That's the convenience store's lady's magic power. But, like, come on. He's just like, he just starts asking, okay, I want a map. I want flares. I want a suit of medieval armor. I want a portable toilet. I want a big fucking gun. I want a... After finishing up the preparations, I, just like last time, returned to the dining hall. I was given some shishinari again, and somehow ate it all.
Oh, you ate it all. Was it to your liking?
It's not bad, actually. That was a bit of a lie. I just came prepared for it because of my experience from last time. I still wasn't used to it enough to declare it good. Just what kind of booze would I go with this? Then, like last time, I went on to fix plates. Last time I learned the symbols of the Higuchi and the Uematsu, and then I got the snake and Meguruma symbol, even if it wasn't too clear. The Nasato mentioned how theirs on the gate, so now I knew them all. This info could possibly lead me to the truth, so I had to remember it. Some time passed and, like last time, the students came back. We're back, huh? The bright, yet tender Yasunaga Oribe. His tenderness was mostly towards his family, though. It was a very human trait, which was a good thing. I felt bad for him for getting caught up in something like this. Whether he was an ally or enemy in the feast would greatly affect how it went. I didn't want him as an opponent, that much was certain.
Don't know this guy.
The free-spirited and slightly abnormal Chikamochi Kamoshida, he left quite an impression on me. As a wolf, he was a threatening individual who could do the same horrible things with a straight face. But what would he be like this time?
Huh?
And then there was her, Haru Makishima. Last time she'd been brutally murdered, while the time before that, she sided with the wolves as a badger. She wasn't much of a contributor to the feast. I considered her to be a troublemaker rather than anything else. But...
I see. So you rose. You have tried again several times, have you not? Haru-chan was so lonely last night that she left the school and we're staying at all by herself. Then she went through the mountain pass and... I don't know. The adults say they found her in front of Yasumizu, and there were rumors she saw something there. I don't know if that's the reason why, but she started acting weird afterwards. People said she was possessed by a wolf.
She was the closest person to the mystery surrounding Yasumizu. She had lost her parents to the previous feast, disappeared once, and started talking strangely.
To summon a god of that caliber, you must prepare an appropriate ritual. Possession by a wolf is not something that can happen so easily.
The village head insisted that this wasn't any sort of possession, but a mental illness. However, the fact it was treating us, Uematsu's special ability to take in such things, made it seem entirely possible that the trouble surrounding her was of divine origin. But there was something I didn't really understand. I didn't know how, but last time Rikaku-san healed me of arcanite poisoning. I knew it with my own body that this ability was more than just a religious rite and had an actual physical effect. That didn't necessarily mean it would work on a mental illness, too. Honestly, there were too many things that didn't make sense here. That is a corruption not even I can take in. I didn't know the rules. It kind of freaked me out, but for now I had no choice but to set Rikaku-san's issues aside. What mattered was Haru-chan. She had parental issues, a strong relationship with her granddad. All in all, she was a delicate young girl going through a complicated time in her life, and I didn't quite know how to deal with her. Fooling around with her didn't work, and Casanova-type characters seemed to scare her. I tried not to do much and appear harmless. Maybe that'd work?
Welcome back. This is Fusashi-san. He suddenly moved here to Yasumizu.
Hello. I bow with an empty expression on my face.
Nichan, it's an android!
I had to do my best at... Oh, okay. The joke. I had to do my best at the fall over at that. Why?
I mean, he's not acting human.
Oh, Haru-chan's being even more rude than me.
I'm sorry. She watched a sci-fi movie recently. I'm human, just so you know.
Hello, I'm Haru Makashima.
She wasn't as wary of me as last time, at least. I still had no idea how to approach her.
Have we met?
Huh? No. This is my first time here.
I thought so.
Did she have memories of my seducing? No, of the previous loop?
What? Kaori-san, do you have a hand towel?
Something similar had happened last time, too. It wasn't impossible that someone else had memories of the previous times. Particularly this girl, considering her mind held traces of madness.
What?
Crap, I stayed at it for too long. I had to talk it off. Well, I actually feel like you're familiar, too. Ever been to Kanto?
No.
I see. Then this must be something special.
What's wrong? You're all red. No, I'm not. Oh.
Huh? She was easier than I expected. Maybe android-like coolness was the way to go with her? Whatever that was. Orbe-san, I have completed the repairs on these plates. Whatever should I do with them? Cool manner of speech, robotic movements, playing with people's impressions was a bad habit I had.
Oh, bring them here. Wait, aren't you talking differently until now?
Acknowledged, executing, appreciated, mesh nourishment.
Eat this human banana.
What the fuck?
So, before this was the horny loop. This is just the fucking absurd loop? What the fuck is this shit? Alright, now Mochi's flashing. Jesus Christ, kid.
Bro.
Some undies you got there. Oh, no, he pantsed me. Oh, he pantsed me. Oh, okay. Hey, Chikamochi-kun. There are things you can do and cannot do. Hey, what else could I have done? Well, if you looked at this as a
Well, if you looked at this as a joke, this was definitely well timed. My android-like coolness, whatever that was, instantly became a gag. His skill left me so dumbfounded that I just froze in place with my pants down, effectively giving a treat for the ladies and waiting for a response. How did the girl see this pantless android-like cool guy before her? And again, what was android-like cool? Okay, so yeah, the last route was the horny route. This is definitely the fucking just in-spat shit route, where they're just gonna goof around and fuck around half the time, right? I wonder if there's a reason why each route has different tones to it like this, or at least so far it does.
Hiya! Pervert! Pervert, 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 pervert. Oh, sorry. Let me flex my weeb chops. Hentai, 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 hentai.
Not a positive reaction, of course not. Mochi's prank effectively gave her the worst possible impression of me. Haru-chan had kicked my exposed ass over and over. The two boys stopped her, and she started breathing heavily, fleeing the dining hall. I'd be more worried about her grandfather fucking murdering me. Old man Konzo just showing up going like, yep, that's the one. Boom! Alright, loop over. Try again, motherfucker. The guys followed soon after, leaving just me and Kaori-san. Am I in the wrong here?
I'll scold them later.
She was all red ever since then. It was awkward as hell. I distracted myself by getting back to fixing plates. Eventually, we were joined by the old wolf guy, Miko, and Rikaku-san. I wasn't quite done with my job yet, but just like last time, I was given a break, so I went outside.
Ate the donut, bologna rice, snows on the mountain. Oh, Fusashi-san, I see you were hard at work.
Getting close to Rikaku-san was important for both survival and finding out the truth. I still had some affection for her, as well as memories of our time together. However, last time, when I'd felt a similar way about Kemi, I was hit with a big surprise. It just wasn't Kemi, though. The Feast of the Yomi Purge seemed to bring about a total change in the nature of people. If Rikaku-san became a wolf this time, I wasn't sure she would instantly kill herself, like she claimed she would. In fact, as a wolf, she would know Miko's guardian or lack thereof, leaving the humans at a huge disadvantage. And most of all, If I got too close to her, it would make parting with her a whole lot harder. Even if I lost some time then, I had memories of the previous loops, so this was actually a big deal for me. The emotional strain would gradually pile up, and eventually even a guy as warped as me would snap. Thus, I would only get close to the people. That's why I think the best, even though you couldn't really influence it because you weren't part of the village, the first loop is probably the best loop because you know what the two wolves are. You don't really have that much of an attachment to them, especially the old lady. And if you can somehow convince Kemi to go along with you telling her and trying to get her to convince to choose things, like influence it from the side, that could be a fun thing, especially if you know when people are going to be dying. Like you could stop what's his name from running out and getting murdered by the thing. Like you could really try to just use that original connection to Kemi and maybe influencing other people to get them to take out the old lady and what's his name. But so once again, I still think the first loop is the best one to get a perfect ending on, because the two people who were the wolves, you just don't give a fuck about. Well, that's what I mean. If you change the first loop enough where you instantly get them to hang the old lady and the smart student, then you literally wouldn't have to worry much about the rest. You could just be like, yep, everyone survived. Anyway, this would only get close to people as friends. That was probably the best way to go about this. I had no idea who'd even be alive once all of this was over. It was even possible that there'd be no one left. Well, that's what I mean. If you redo the first loop, everybody lives except for the two people who were the wolves. Even Haru-chan lives because she's a badger, but just because the badger lives doesn't mean the wolves live. So if you can, even if you're not part of the village, if you can just direct that first loop, everyone except the old lady and the student would live. And you wouldn't even have to worry about the doomed kiss or anything because you would have just convinced Kemi to get everyone to vote correct. It's an old song about the teachings of great Lord Shinai-sama, the incarnation of this mountain that keeps us alive. Like worst case scenario, this loop, we are a wolf. And then we try using the wolf to find us being the wolf to find out a lot more information. Now that would be fucking wild. That would actually be pretty cool. If this loop we were the wolf. Oh, that would be pretty neat. It's an old song about the teachings of great Lord Shinai-sama, the incarnation of this mountain that keeps us alive. Shishinai-san's guardians are 1 snake, 2 monkey, 3 crow, 4 spider. She was teaching me the song. I actually knew it by heart at this point, and the memories it was tied to made me it hard to listen to, but I acted like it was nothing. 8, death of the damned Yomibito is the mandate. It took in an uneasy tone. I looked away and saw Kemi snickering as she waited for the right time to pop back. Oh yeah, she's covered with the hunting blood. 9, 1 soul per day, now to bind. 10, the mists rise away again. Oh, hello. Huh? Heh, she knew exactly what she was doing with the sudden appearance. How mischievous. Were you hunting or something?
Oh, no, but you're close enough. I just helped Kanzo-ji-chan prepare one of the beasts for the hunt that we hunted down.
I see. That suits you.
What the hell? That kind of hurts.
Crap. I accidentally remembered what she was like back then and gave a sarcastic comment. If she'd been telling the truth back then, she'd wanted to kill me whenever we first met. That meant that, even now, she was... Hold on. Didn't that mean that all that stuff I jokingly said about her being a murderer was on the mark? After all, the 2 shotguns were hidden in the room even then. Hold on. The first time we met at our very first encounter was among the rocks near Saranaga. I picked up her flashlight, then she called out to me. What was she even doing there? It was late at night. She'd taken a flashlight and gone down a dangerous cliff to reach a locally taboo area, Saranaga. She'd also said this.
Listen, I just really wanted to kill. Yeah, I even returned back home just because I wanted to kill someone.
Those might have been nothing but words to make herself seem like the big bad wolf she was. However, it wasn't unlikely she'd come down to the Saranaga because she was doing something worrying. She'd probably been there on this timeline too. We just hadn't met there. Maybe this time she'd actually finish whatever she was doing there. Well, no one had gone missing or anything, so it probably wasn't murder at all, at least. It still made me curious. Yeah, it's something we definitely should be checking out. I was definitely attracted to her cheer, tact, and mystery. But this time I would focus on exposing the secrets of Yasumizu itself. He who hunts two hares catches neither. I would only consider her to be a potential hazard. Hey, I'm just saying that your wild image suits hunting. You honestly seem like a feline animal, Kimi-chan.
Oh, Kemi-chan, I like that interested in letting a carnivore have a taste of you. Oh, how indecent. Please, call me Rikako. What the hell?
You can call me by my first name, too. What a mess of an exchange, though I'd still serve to decide what we'd call each other, so that was fine by me.
You're flirting now, undie man.
Suddenly, we were joined by Haru-chan holding a stick.
Die!
Ah! I was actually getting chased by a girl because of lewd stuff. What was this, the 20th century manga? Yeah, what is this, an anime? You're telling me, kid.
Undie man. Undie man. Undie man.
I was worried that nickname would spread, and I quickly hoped it didn't. Well, Mochi was saying that in the beginning, wasn't he? Wait a fucking minute. Wasn't Mochi calling me Undie Man very earlier, too? Or was he calling me, like, shit man or something like that? I forget. Turns out everybody's looping. Every single person is just looping. Everybody knows. Everybody remembers. We're just constantly going. We're on Mr. Bones' wild ride, and none of us are getting off. I couldn't have predicted that I'd run out of time just calming Haru-chan down and preventing the nickname from taking root in their minds.
The mist. No way. No, not the mist.
She was afraid of the mist because of whatever happened 8 years ago. Haru-chan, come down. Kimi-chan, where should she go? In the spur of the moment, I went and called her by her first name, which I was pretty sure she didn't like, but no one would care right now.
I'll take her to the dorm. Where will you go?
Alright, I ended up staying at the prefab.
Huh? Why there? What about the hut?
I'll be staying there every day starting tomorrow, so I just thought I'd let the visitor have the better place this time.
Haruki-sama, how considerate. Stop wasting time. Hurry up, Rikaku-san. You take Miko-chan. Very well. Miko, it is time to cleanse, shelter, and dream. Okay. Haruki-san, I'll show you a shortcut, so let's go together. Haru-chan, you can walk? Mist. No breath. Breaths chasing Santa Claus.
I looked at Kemi. She nodded, and I picked Haru-chan up.
No.
She was pale. Her expression was empty, and her body was shaking, locked in a fetal position. Just what had she seen in the mist? What had she gone through? I hesitantly tightened my grip on her. She meekly grabbed into my jacket. I had no idea if I could get along with her, but it wasn't impossible. While on the move, I noticed Hashimoto-san head to the hut I provided him, so all seemed good on that front. After leaving Haru-chan in her dorm room, I said goodbye to her, Kemi and the two guys there, who were waiting for Haru-chan in worry before they were making my way to the common construction site.
You can get there easily through the path behind the dorm. Don't slip along the way.
She'd also told me about how to prepare for the feast, and was generally pretty nice about it, too. It was pretty annoying that I couldn't just tell her that I knew it all. By the time I'd arrived at the prefab, the sun was down. I began by checking how I'd fare here. I take only the bare minimum of food and water I had here. I came prepared, but I didn't want to have to use the bathroom until morning. This was the shabbiest sleeping spot yet, but since I was still pretty awake, that allowed me to think a bit more. It was time to assess the situation. First of all, there were two things I had to keep in mind. How Yudai Hashimoto-san joining would affect the feast, and whether I could find out how much the feast and Fujiyoshi from Haru Makishima. The former would probably be made obvious by tomorrow. If he died despite all I'd done this time, I'd be out of ways to help him survive. However, he also wouldn't have died by the corruption, he would have died by the wolves killing him. I'd have to start considering if there was something inhuman at work that was actively trying to prevent him from joining. Like he's in league with the town. If he did join the feast, though, the guardian assignments would definitely change, just like they did when Mamiya-san and I had joined. That would be neither good nor bad. However, the info I gained the first time when I couldn't participate at all, and the second time when I participated as a snake, was completely different. Naturally, there was a change in human relationships, and who benefited from them. And now, with this change, I would get to know people I hadn't interacted much with yet, especially Haru-chan. I could only hope that being the Undie Man didn't result in her avoiding me. That reminded me, Mochi was the reason for my new title. Was he the biggest obstacle on my path towards the truth? Nah, he wouldn't admit it, but the guy liked Haru-chan and was jealous that I was getting between them. So he was the one who killed Haru-chan last time. Was the sad face I saw on him the day after just an act? I had no idea, but I could totally imagine him killing her only to regret it right after. Oh yeah, Yasunagi-kun also revealed his feelings for Kemi right before she killed him, didn't he? She'd instantly shot him down though. It seemed like she felt the same way in the first loop, so that was probably true. Or maybe I just wanted to think that way. Then again, being liked by Kemi meant that she wanted to kill you, so I wasn't sure if I was happy about that. That aside, as a wolf and as a human, he was a player skilled at debate and consideration. His words were rarely far from the mark, and he had influence over his mother's and friends' votes. If he wasn't self-righteous or some kind of loner, with a good backer spurring him on, he could be an excellent human player. If he was a wolf, though, I'd instantly know it from his lack of enthusiasm towards the feast. Maybe that would be considered cheating, but whatever. You have time loop powers, dude. If that's not considered cheating, then the other thing you just said is not cheating. Meanwhile, though Kemi had done some bold things during the last feast, she wasn't a very active participant in the meetings themselves. That was probably because, just like Mochi, she played cautiously as a wolf and avoided drawing attention to herself. Taking that into account, Kemi's whole hang me act in the first day was pretty impressive. It was bold for a wolf to make such a self-sacrificing play at that stage, but it was at a point where people weren't ready to just hang anyone, human or wolf. She managed to make herself look like a human without any real risk, and kept the act going until the end. I heard that Kemi had a decently big impact on the feast I didn't participate in. If she'd become a human, she would surely be a valuable asset to the humans. Personally, I didn't want to be enemies with her again, but I had no idea what she thought of me right now, before the feast even had begun. She herself had told me that she always wanted to kill me, which meant that the kindness she displayed to me so far could have been an act. That wasn't a pleasant thought. Rikaku-san too seemed to be pretty fond of me. That was probably because of her idea that I was a special person who could do something about the feast. I wanted to do something about it, but I saw no possible way at this point. I couldn't help but worry that I'd disappoint her again. Okay, so this loop, we need to make a move on Mamiya-san. we need to, okay, well, we've hit 2 of them now. So this Kaori we can hit on, but she's got 2 kids, and Takumi likes her, so let's stay away from that one. Let's hit on the news lady. Every single loop is just hitting on a different person. All right, let's see how this one goes. She did, although I guess this loop would be aiming at Haru, but no thank you. She did pretty dangerous things, though, like trusting me without any real reason to. However, as a descendant of the Uematsu family, she knew full well just how scary the feast was and how to deal with it. The fact that she knew Miko's position was pretty important too, and would surely be important now. I wasn't sure about Miko herself, though. If she got a guardian and Rikaku-san handled her well, it'd all be good. But if that wasn't the case, I couldn't expect much from her in the feast, and her votes were based on how she felt at the moment. She would be an uncertain factor and nothing more. Rikaku-san let her vote as she pleased, probably to hide that they were communicating, which wasn't great. The old man who cried wolf was even worse case, though. What the hell was that guy? A senile old man? It really didn't seem like it, and every single time they say they're going to hang him, he goes and tries to prepare something, and keeps getting stopped. So we really need to find what the fuck he has, because he has something. Kanjo-san had said that he'd survived the previous feast. He never said anything important during the feast, but had a vote worth the same as everyone else's. He also pretended to be the spider last time. Though Rikaku-san came out as the spider as Miko's representative, she was essentially the real thing. claiming to be the spider despite that was only meaningful if you were the badger. After all, if the badger presented themselves to the wolves once enough humans were out of the game, they would have a latent ally, which would be pretty good for them. And if he was capable of thinking that much, it meant that he wasn't just senile, quite the opposite in fact. But that idea didn't click the fact that he always ended up getting hanged. What was he even after? I had more than enough evidence to conclude that he was insane, but that was just made spending time about it. I literally just go and investigate his hut, I guess. Now, while Kanzo-san's actions and goals were obvious, he was hard to control. He'd been handled the feast based on his experience in the other ones. It was a relatively logical approach, but he wasn't flexible at all. He was extremely overbearing when it came to the flow of the conversation, and didn't mind taking unnecessary sacrifices, which eventually led to a lack of stability. He also had a weak point in Haru-chan. When it concerned her, he could become dangerous and violent. The other elder, Yamawaki-san, was simply a hyper-traditionalist who resented the younger folks. However, if you remember from the first loop, she was extra strict on the rules when she was a wolf. But when she wasn't, she was a lot looser with it. In certain situations, she was easy to get her vote right, but in others, she was nothing more than a hindrance. She was also Takumi-san's, a key person's, weak point, and handling that whole matter was difficult. Tei-san's opposite was Yoshigitsu Orebe. He didn't care about tradition and hated the elders, as well as the village heads. He also was an intense type and could easily mess up the feast. It was also possible for him to take a peace with his mother and brother and enter the Yasunaga faction. But if left to his own devices, he could break the rules and get eliminated from the game on the first night. Handling him was difficult. His mother, Kaori-san, was generally a passive player who followed Yasunaga-kun, but she had a tendency to do unexpected things. When Yoshigitsu-kun had died, she tried to poison everyone's food, and she'd also tried to bend the feast rules and leave a dying message. She was the sole source of the decent food here, and honestly, I wanted her and her sons to survive until the end. Then there was the man who understood and loved her, Takumi-san. He was important as the facilitator and mediator, keeping Yasumizu unified despite the tribulations of the feast. He had a lot of weaknesses, though, such as his antagonism towards outsiders and the village heads, as well as his tendency to do unnecessary stuff on his own. However, all of it was outweighed by his popularity, charisma, and sheer strength, which were useful every now and then. Overall, he was someone I wanted to depend on. He really had to form a trusting relationship with his brain, though. Now, Kiyonosuke and Satoshi was pretty hard to evaluate. He often said things that didn't have to be said, couldn't read the mood, and tended to create conflicts between himself and Yasumizu's people, but despite expectations, he ended up surviving. He actually wasn't wrong most of the time, but his presentation alone often ruined it completely. He was one of the few village heads in the group, so I could at least count on him to prevent any unfair votes towards Rikaku-san, but besides that, I just remembered that he was a doctor. He couldn't examine dead bodies? Why did I have to do it? Why did I have to do it when we had him around? He hadn't insisted on examining a single corpse so far. Was it because he was afraid of dead bodies or something? What the hell? What kind of a joke wasn't funny in a situation like this? Besides them, there were the journos. Mamiya-san had been pretty much manipulated by Kemi, so regarding her hard, if she could keep her cool, she would probably make some decent contributions to the feast. And also, I felt that her knowledge of folklore and occult stuff would be necessary for my current main goal, finding out the truth. As for Hashimoto-san, he hadn't survived the first night even once thus far, so I couldn't say anything about him. However, though the first impressions had made him seem like nothing but some fat guy, he did show an impressive capacity for logic and reason. If both Mamiya-san and Hashimoto-san survived, I imagine they would perform really well in the feast. Of course, it was hard for them to pass the barrier all outsiders faced here. Then there was myself. I was the most suspicious here, and the one most likely to get hanged. Last time I'd been able to survive because I was a snake and leveraged my role well. It helped me get Takumi-san and Rikaku-san over to my side, as bad as that sounded. However, there was no guarantee that it would happen again, and it was best to assume it wouldn't. In that situation, I had focus on helping my side emerge victorious with myself still alive, rather than just helping my side emerge victorious. Even if I could loop, there was no guarantee that I couldn't get into a situation where I would be hanged no matter what. That was a heavy thought to have, but I'd have to believe I could make it and keep pushing on. I had to keep going. Suddenly, I felt drowsiness come over me. Had I been so busy during the day that I ended up more tired than I thought? It was time to cleanse myself. I took off my clothes, wiped my body, switched into my spare underwear, and that was that. Then I locked the shabby-looking lock and returned to my bed, if I could call it that. What would I do if my door was suddenly knocked down and some scary werewolf monster came in? I tried to keep myself on my toes, but my brain knew this wasn't how the feast worked, so it just relaxed and led me to sleep. I'd be safe today. I wouldn't die today. I'd think about what came next later. I felt a strange pain all over my body. Next, I felt that something was way too red. I could see the light from the outside through my eyes. That meant it was dawn, but that wasn't the case. Okay, we're a wolf this time. Alright, we're a wolf this time. Sweet, okay. The morning sun had a bitter orange color, but the red right here was darker and colder. I also felt like my eyes weren't being closed. Why was I conscious with my eyes open? Not only did my body hurt, but it was cold as well. Too cold. I was sleeping on the ground. My hair was on some gravel while my hands felt grass and mist. It was cold. My senses awakened. No. It was more like something that had been cut off had suddenly returned. It wasn't quite the same as a typical morning, and the bizarre sensation took me a moment to adjust to. I was outside. The moment I realized that, all blood left my face. I tried to jump, but then I realized my body was sluggish, and that my body temperature was extremely low. Had I been out in this cold mist for that long? My mind was in better condition than my body, at least. Why was I outside anyway? Had I broken some taboo I didn't know about? Did the prefab count as outside? Would I be taken outside and killed because of it? Maybe there wasn't even need for a reason like that. It could have been that I just been using an example. If you die, Hashimoto-san did the feast prep this time, no one would die tonight. Perhaps that was a bad thing for Great Lord Shanai. The existence of the penalty, the corruption, was best made through example. A simple mess of a corpse was enough to prevent people from trying to escape or walking out at night. However, if no one broke the rule, no example could be made. But it was actually entirely possible to make an example without anyone breaking the laws. If there was a corpse tomorrow, everyone would just assume that the victim had broken a law. No one would question the Punisher's decision. Well, we hadn't any unexplainable victims of the corruption thus far. That was my assumption anyway. Rikako-san going nuts made absolutely no sense, but it wasn't even clear if that was the corruption, so I would just leave it at that. Besides that, all instances of the corruption so far seem to have completely plausible causes behind them, so I'd assume that was the Punisher was fair. But could I trust their benevolence? Now, in this situation? I was an outsider who was barely known here, and that kind of made me the best person to make an example out of. Had I been too optimistic to assume I wouldn't die today? My throat was dry, which made me feel even colder. My irritation and panic broke my tolerance limits, and I finally regained my senses of control over my body. There was a red light all around me. Its source was distant, but it lit up the entire mist, giving it a bewitching, unsettling shine. It made me both uneasy and scared. It reminded me of the first time I ever seen, even though it was late at night right now. However, unlike the first time, I didn't feel any beasts nearby. I strained my eyes and looked into the mist, and realized that I had someone at my side. Or rather, I realized that there was a humanoid silhouette within the red light. It was a girl, Haru Makashima. Haru-chan? As I tried to stand up, I staggered pathetically and collapsed again. I could barely even speak. She noticed me, slowly turned her face towards me, and looked down at me with eyes showing no hint of emotion, thought, or life. She was even smiling a bit. Fusashi-san. I heard my name. It surprised me, but I somehow turned to the other side and saw Kaori Oribe-san. Her eyes and expressions were almost exactly like Haru-chan's. Alright, so it's me, Kaori, and Haru are the wolves? Oh! How is Kaori gonna kill, or how is she gonna be okay with killing her own kids? Ooh. Ooh, that's gonna be a fucking wild one. We might have to put her down just so she doesn't ruin it. God is coming. Was I still half asleep? Was this some sort of dream? Why were they here anyway? But if I could actually see the god that Kemi Rikaku-san and Haru-chan talked about, I would accept it in a heartbeat. I turned to the direction that those two were facing. In red, misty darkness, I saw the outline of a large tree. It was the hanging pine. That meant that this was the graveyard. And there were 3 lights, or rather sets of them, within the mist. It took me a moment, but I realized they were Alright, so this is going to be an interesting thing. So far we have speculated that in the first loop, the wolves had a, in quotes, good reason to do what they were doing. Is there 4 lights? I see 3 sets of 3. Is there a 4th one? Anyway, so the first loop, the 2 people who were wolves did it on purpose. And Star Trek. Okay, it wasn't on my brain. But the second loop, it was Mochi and Kemi, and Kemi kind of wanted to kill everybody, and Mochi just went along with it. So this is a perfect time to find out if the wolves are forced and their brains are warped into doing the murders, or if it's just the people who were wolves last time were just the people chosen. Because remember, Mamiya-san only went out and did a thing because she was also a newcomer and didn't really know how to fucking do the wolf thing, and it was instantly sacrificed and murdered and failed. So maybe she didn't want to kill people, and that's why they also told her to be the snake, so they wouldn't get found out because she didn't want to get hanged. So my guess is there isn't something that forces you to become evil and villainous as a wolf. So as long as we just don't do it on purpose, we're just like, we could just be being evil, murdering people just to find out more information possibly. But who knows? Let's see. It took me a moment, but I realized they were eyes. The vague silhouette seemed human, and yet not human at all at the same time. Was that God? Why had they not appeared before us? Questions filled my head, and thoughts became dull. My sense of logic froze, and my vision contradicted. Suddenly, a god spoke.
Look here, for I will tell ye the true legend.
It was like a rumble, but it was definitely a voice.
We will now tell you the true legend.
I tried to follow what he said.
The wolves was not fully dead.
The wolves aren't dead yet.
Truly is a mankind that has been dead.
It was the humans that are dead.
Mankind, snake, ape, crow, spider. Humans,
snake, monkeys, crow, spider.
all creations of the making of Yomi.
Ooh woo. I'm just waiting for the fucker. all of them have risen up from Yomi.
The laws of the mountain says.
The law of the mountain says
All creation is to be killed.
that they all must be killed.
Ye have been chosen willfully to be the wolves.
You were chosen to be the wolves.
Make gritty discretion upon the Yamabeto and make pure the mountains and the river.
Destroy the Yamabito and purify the mountain and river.
I noble if we with you.
We will give something to you.
Ye shall wear this and cleanse yourself.
You must wear it and cleanse yourselves. Do this.
Grace and the wicked mist shall Julius not harm.
Do that, and the corrupt mist shall not harm you.
By cause of the dark mist,
But since the mist is so dense,
we shall ruin ye the rock.
we will also send you the badger.
Tomorrow at like this time around, maybe we shall inspire to be your brethren.
Tomorrow night, we shall inspire one of the Yamabito to become your ally.
This was a Brock nightmare and is our help under day.
This badger would be a guardian, and it's helped and to help you. Huh. So the wolves always got such a detailed explanation? They were low in number. Humans received other guardians. They were under pressure to lie at times. Okay, so this 100% makes me think this is mundane bullshit. The mist is laced with something. Village heads they got their faces covered in like a fucking gas mask or some bullshit, which is why you can barely hear them. They're gonna give us something to wear to ward off whatever puts people to sleep in the mist. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going back into this is the village just fucking us. However, they had more information. They knew their allies and enemies and about the existence of the traitor unknown to the humans.
They should draw the blood of a man by every night.
Anyway, draw the blood of one human a night? Anyway, seriously? Do you have any idea how hard that was?
Nor ye yourself will die.
Otherwise, you will be the ones to die. That's two, huh?
It may none otherwise but died.
Do not doubt this. It may none
otherwise but died.
He just repeated it. For effect, surely? He really wanted us to believe him. So the three of us were wolves. I had no idea if that was true. Hell, I didn't even know if this was real or not. Then the red light became weaker, or my consciousness began to fade. I had no idea. And soon enough, it was all dark. My body hurt.
Okay. I'm going to take this as the perfect spot to end for the night. We just found out that we are a wolf. We're about to start investigating a full brand new mystery over from the beginning. This is a very solid spot to do it. There's some tension waiting for what's coming next, but we're not at like a super cliffhanger. So I think this is the perfect one. I guess we get to find out if we are forced to kill or if the game, like I said, is the something going to come over us and make us kill, or are we just going to be given good reasons to kill? Because, like I said, first game, they were given reasons. Second game, Mochi and Kemi really just kind of didn't give a fuck and wanted to kill people, especially Kemi. She even said she manipulated Mochi a bit. And Mamiya, they tricked her and disposed of her right away. So I think nothing makes us kill. It's just the people who have been killing have been doing it for correct reasons or whatever reasons they thought. We even went over in the first one that the reason why they were doing the killing, because what's her name was very superstitious, and the smart kid thought he was saving everybody along with Haru. So can't wait to see how this one plays out. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll be back. I don't know what's happening with the schedule, so I will definitely be back on Monday. There might be a Sunday thing, or not a Sunday. There might be a Monday. No, wow. Every day besides what I said. There might be a Saturday stream, maybe. There might even be a stream during tomorrow during the day of a different game than this, or maybe I will read more of this. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. The schedule's open. I ended up missing 2 days this week. And the weekends kind of got a bunch of stuff that's bouncing around, so we'll see. At the very least, I'll be back again on Monday. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Yeah, Raging Loop is staying super interesting. It's cool that my guess for who the wolf this run is, it's going to be me. It's going to be Haru. I actually have to go back to my old video because I'm pretty sure I guessed that Kemi was going to be a wolf. I forget who else I asked. Who else I said was going to be a wolf. I'll have to go back into my VOD and find out to see how many I was correct by. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all at some point, but definitely Monday.